front of a live audience. So thanks for joining us. But I'm even more excited to be here with my partner in crime and friend, Alistair.
Thanks, Chris. I did actually pay him to say that, but it's great. So we have a great session for you today. It's only 25 minutes long, but we're going to try to hit all the notes that we can do. Before we do start, though, we're going to be very, very consistent with the themes that you've heard in the keynote today. And really, our session today is about how do you win in the hybrid world. And as we know, the clicker's not working? Yeah, thank you. So one of the big things that we heard today, and you listened to what Chuck was saying and what Todd was saying and G2 was saying, is that the world changed, particularly over the pandemic, and we moved into this hybrid world, hybrid work, hybrid cloud, hybrid everything. And the big thing today is about what can we do to help our customers and our partners as they start to navigate how they're going to engage, interact. And we know that in the hybrid world, there are three things that are really important. You have to stay connected, you have to stay secure, and you have to stay always on. But at the same time, and you heard some of the statistics from the Gartner survey that came back today, a lot of CIOs now face a real dilemma. Not only are they trying to drive innovation, but at the same time, they're trying to drive operations as well, which is really complex. And if you think about the three things that Chuck talked about in the keynote today, is that complexity is absolutely everywhere in the hybrid world. People no longer go into an office, Chris. We work from home, and my boss loves me working from home. He's always very happy. The second thing we hear a lot, actually, is that there's a big skills gap at the moment. And when I say a skills gap, I mean if you look across our industry right now, there is definitely, people are not where they used to be. We need a lot more talent, particularly in the areas of complexity, particularly in the software areas as well. So we know that it's complex, and we know that there's a skills gap. So Chris, what kind of solution do we have for the team today?
Yeah, in this hybrid world, things are changing fast. They're changing fast for our customers. So Cisco and our partners, we have to change fast too. So how are we going to do that? Well, a lot of it really is bringing our human expertise, which most people will not deny. Cisco and our partners are experts at what we do. Bringing that together with our digital expertise. So human plus digital intelligence is how we're going to keep up and really set the pace in the industry. Now, if you think about this, what is digital intelligence? Well, a lot of it is automation. We have great skills that we've taken from our experts, and we've created automations out of those. Now, in the reactive world, you can do some cool things, right? Like you can instantly get an RMA issued. That's great. It's fast, it's exciting, it's powered by AI and ML, and it really leverages deep telemetry. But to get out ahead of the challenges, you really want to get into this predictive and preemptive world. And that's where this concept of lifecycle comes in. So lifecycle is really about understanding the customer's use cases that tie to the business outcomes. Lifecycle is like a whole secret sauce of intellectual property that we now bring to life in the digital domain. So when you think about it, you do automations, you leverage AI and ML, fed by deep telemetry with lifecycle. Now we can really make things happen and keep out in front of all the change for our customers.
Okay, so Chris, that sounds exciting, but how are we going to give all this amazing technology access to our customers?
Well, we're going to get it out there through CX Cloud.
The CX Cloud. So I'm not doing a demo today, so I apologize because we haven't got enough time. But if you do go down to our stand, we've got all the demos up there so you can go much deeper. But what is the CX Cloud? So if you think about what we're talking about now, it's the single pane of glass where we're bringing together all the telemetry, the data, and the insights that we've got to help our customers and our partners navigate through the complexity to try and make things simple. And our approach, as you heard from Chuck and from Todd and from G2 in the keynote today, is all about simplicity. So not only, as Chris said, is the CX Cloud about a guided lifecycle journey, it's also use case driven. So we're trying to contextualize all the information inside the CX Cloud so it's personalized to the customer. So if we know your configuration of your network infrastructure, if we know the hardware versions, the software versions, and if we understand from our own information, where there are, bugs, there are P-certs, and where you may be coming towards last day of support, there's a lot of things that we can do with our predictive intelligence to help our customers move forward. And what we're trying to do is bring the power of digital together with the power of people. And that's right, we have got people inside the CX Cloud, very small. But the good point here is that we know a lot of customers want a lot of information, but you also need help. Now, those experts could be Cisco experts, or they could also be partner experts as well. And this is the real power of what we're doing in this kind of hybrid world, is simplifying all that masses of data, telemetry, giving you information that is use case driven, so it's contextualized to what you are trying to do with the technology, but also give you the support that you need as a customer. And today we've got, 1,000 customers on the CX Cloud. It's growing rapidly. I think it's one of the most powerful technology platforms and innovations that we've actually driven. And what I love about it as well is the fact that it's not only something that we can use, it's something that the partners can use, and we'll keep improving it and getting better. We've been developing the cloud for a number of years now, and I just presented at the analyst meeting earlier today, and they're getting really excited about what we're doing here. We're trying to really innovate at pace, simplify, but put our customers and our partners in the driving seat.
You got to see a demo of it. You have to see it.
You have to see a demo. Okay. So instead of seeing a demo today, what we'll do is we're going to run a very small video, and let's say here for some customers and get some feedback. Could you roll the video, please?
CX Cloud really brought their game up to a different level. And you've got it all under one pane of glass.
With CX Cloud, I have the ability to monitor my entire network at a glance from anywhere.
With a single button, we can open a case, contact the Cisco TAC engineer, and have an answer in minutes.
This will help me troubleshoot so much faster.
I tend to keep a pretty close eye on the lifecycle tracker. I really like trying to move that race car farther along the track.
This feels like you went out and talked to the customer and said, what do you guys need to be able to do it even better?
I can actually go to a tab and I can see when my devices are end of life. We don't have to try to guess which devices need to be replaced. That really saves a lot of time.
With CX Cloud bringing you the software image management right to your doorstep, that's worth the money right there.
The time saved and visibility change the way we manage, respond, and secure our network.
Having the ability to look at the whole organization in one sweep, it's made my job easier.
Now,
job easier.
Not only have we got a video of our customers, but I'm also really, really pleased to announce that we've actually got 2 customers who are live in the audience today. So please put your hands together and let's join Jimmy Williams and Susan Buzzard on stage with me. Thank you so much. Hey Susan, good to see you. Please come and join us. Hey Jimmy, good to see you.
See you, sir.
You enjoying the keynote?
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Please take a seat. Okay, before we go into a little bit of depth in terms of the journey and your feedback on the cloud, I'd love to understand a little bit more for the audience about the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. I mean, Jimmy, what exactly are you guys doing there?
So absolutely. So we're a sovereign tribal nation. So about 200,000 tribal members, 11,000 square mile reservation, and we're a little bit unique. So we operate businesses, we use the revenue from the businesses, and that's how we provide services to our tribal members. And when we talk about services, we have a little bit of everything. Hospitals and clinics, we have our own police force, we have our own court system, pretty much every social service that you can think of. So, when we talk about our environment, it's very, very diverse and very, very large.
Brilliant, fantastic. Now, obviously, we're here to talk about the CX Cloud. So, Susan, could you give us a little bit of a background in terms of the journey with Cisco and the CX Cloud and how long we've been working together?
We started with CX Cloud. It's been going on, I'm not sure the time frame, but for a little while now. I know we were one of the beta, right, working with Cisco. And it's been a huge benefit. I mean, as Jimmy mentioned, we're a very diverse organization. And just having insight to our assets across the organization was challenging, very time consuming, trying to keep track of, manage, keep the code updates on a regular basis. And CX Cloud has given us that one pane of glass view of all our assets, our coverage, information about the hardware, the software. It's also helped us, with the alerts on security advisories and stuff to keep us up to date.
Fantastic. And Jimmy, as the CIO, I mean, what were the challenges you were facing before we started to engage around the CX Cloud?
Sure. So, and I think it's really common for a lot of organizations right now. Half of our spend is tied up in labor. People are expensive and talent's getting really hard to get. So anything that we can do that helps the team be more efficient is something we're really looking into. And that's really where, Susan and team started digging into CX Cloud, seeing how it can make us more effective.
Fantastic. And so, and I mean, when you think about the cost of talent and the fact that you've got access to this new digital interface, can you quantify in terms of savings that you may have made, or?
So we really haven't done real studies yet, and this conversation always has to be twofold, right? CX Cloud and DNA Center, because those two coupled together, they're the things that really give us the power. But we have some anecdotal examples with our team where, an outage window that was going to be 7 p.m. to 3 a.m., maybe get 20 devices upgraded. Now in like an hour and a half window, they're hitting 50 devices.
Wow.
And there's a lot of reliability there because of the pre and post checks. So there's a ton of efficiency. Plus, when you look at the time that they're not spending trying to find those critical updates, trying to figure out what they need to do, because they're pulling that from CX Cloud, they know what they need to focus on. And so it's really, at some point, I think we'll really dive into some of the ROI. But we see it there. We see that time savings for our people.
Thanks, Jimmy. So Susan, you mentioned the asset view is really, really powerful to you because obviously on the operational side. But beside the asset view, you've got the lifecycle tab. I mean, can you give us some feedback on the lifecycle tab?
I think the lifecycle tab is actually very key to the success of using this tool, right? Instead of, a lot of times when you bring new technology into your environment, you're trying to, understand everything all at once, and it becomes very difficult, right, to really implement and execute successfully. And with the life cycle, you're able to actually, the roadmap kind of drives that education. You have like a checklist that you follow. You can talk to experts, right? There's e-learning, there's the accelerators, and it kind of steps you through, and you take like bite size. And I think that's key to the success of CX Cloud.
Now, look, you got to say, Susan just nailed it, right? The lifecycle tab, it pulls all that contextual together. So it's been great to have you guys using that as an early customer of it.
So if you think about another tab, this is the access to our support services. We call it the TAC. I mean, Susan, we were talking yesterday actually about how that's the visibility of that. Could you give the audience a little bit of an update on how you've been using that particular tab?
Absolutely. There's ways to set up alerts, like if your systems possibly crash or a power supply, you can have it set up where it will automatically open a TAC case and send us notifications. So that really helps on, faster speed to recovery, right, and addressing the situation. So it's a beneficial, as well as just seeing all of the TAC cases across the organization, right? It doesn't mean if I opened it or somebody else opened it, you have a total view of every TAC case that we have open.
Yeah, and I think the exciting thing for me as well is that this is going to become the single pane of glass for Cisco.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we call it the launch pad. So as you go into CX Cloud, you will be able to launch into the Meraki dashboard. We heard a lot about the Meraki dashboard today in simplicity. The Nexus Cloud, you'll be able to launch from the Nexus Cloud. So we really want our customers to come into CX Cloud to see all that great information, but then be able to launch into the other areas of the technology that they may be using. So Jimmy, just thinking about, we've got a number of customers in the audience today who are not using CX Cloud or maybe thinking about it. What advice would you give to other CIOs in the audience based on your experiences?
So I would say start the journey now. We see that CX Cloud is going to be that single pane of glass for Cisco in the future. It's starting to get acclimated because we've seen other benefits, right? And, I just would be remiss if I didn't say this. So communication, which is really important to us. Because we've been able to be more proactive with our businesses, we actually have some building better relationships because we're shortening our maintenance windows, we're getting in touch with the customers earlier. So there's just so many benefits coming from this that, I think there's a lot of things Cisco's still doing and ways to go, but get started now and start that journey, get your assets captured, because I know Susan can talk a lot about just understanding your asset inventory is huge. And that was a great benefit for us. The Insights tab and talking about those, risk measures and the profiles and like what version of software to be on that's best fit for you. There's just so many things that you can get out of that, but you do need to start that work and start getting set up.
So there's a lot of information. It's well presented, but Susan, you hit on a really important point there, which is people. So it sounds like you've got the experience. So tell us a little bit about how it's been to engage with the customer success teams that sit behind the CX Cloud, the accelerators, the ATXs.
The team has really found that beneficial, right? Actually, Bill Bennett, who's with our organization, who's kind of the person in charge of leading CX Cloud at Choctaw Nation, has said that from the team's perspective, having that one-on-one, access to quickly answer those questions that you have about Cloud or information that we're needing. You know, having all that available at your fingertips is key.
Fantastic. And also, one of the good things about CX Cloud is, as we look at the future Cisco, particularly the Cisco Plus offers, CX Cloud will be the landing page for those offers as well. So we're future-proofing all the work that we've done. Are there any areas, Jimmy, that you'd like us to keep modernizing with the cloud? Anything you think we're missing?
So I think the things that we've looked at, and it really is once DNA Center and CX Cloud are one, so that you can take insight and truly turn it into action without having that swivel chair. I know the team's super excited about that. And then when we talk about just getting that holistic view and looking at all of our inventory, there's still a lot of things in play to bring more devices into CX Cloud and manage from that one pane of glass. Continuing on that journey will be very beneficial for us.
Absolutely. I mean, our plan is to make sure that you have full visibility to all the solutions and assets from Cisco within that pane of glass. But it is a journey, and we're getting there. I mean, we've got most of the networking and data center covered, but we'll continue to that hard work. And Susan, again, from a kind of more of the operational IT side, what advice would you give people who are practitioners who are in the audience today and thinking about using CX Cloud?
Just follow the life cycle, right? Really do not try to jump too far ahead. I think really taking the steps that the journey is outlined is key to making that being a success. I think sometimes we always try to push too fast, right? And we really need to take the steps to make it sure that you're hitting all the activities that are lined out, right, to be successful.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, we're going to have to say goodbye to Jimmy and Susan, but can you start, please, a round of applause and thanking them today for coming on stage. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Sue.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
Wow, fantastic feedback, Chris.
Fantastic. In fact, you know, Jimmy laid out a roadmap that we're going to have to go back and work on.
Exactly. You got your product manager there.
Product management has some work to do. So, but as Jimmy said, he said, hey, there's a lot more work that you have to do. You know, just getting to CX Cloud, it is a journey for us too. But it really does start with our human intelligence coming to life in our digital intelligence. But look, they coexist. One of the other pieces of feedback that customers typically give us is the digital is fantastic, but we love the people, don't lose the people. So I'm going to talk about 3 areas where really human intelligence and digital intelligence is coming together. And these are 3 areas that we've been working hard, and you should stop by and learn more about them because they're all new innovations and capabilities that are available to you. So first is really around solutions. We've heard a lot around solutions here at Cisco Live. So we're investing a lot in digital plus human intelligence for solutions. The second is all around learning and certifications. So a lot of investment there that you'll hear about too. And then finally is really bringing the whole self-serve digital experience into where's the human tied into that. So I'm going to go a little deep into each one of these. So let's start with solutions expertise. So through our business critical services, which is our advanced services set of capabilities that you can be a customer to, and our partners partner with us to bring, you can get solutions expertise. Now our solutions experts, if you really think about what it takes to create solutions expertise, you have to develop use cases that drive meaningful outcomes for customers. Then you have to really get your delivery experts up and capable of doing that. But you also have to give them the digital tools to be successful. To me, like this is digital and human intelligence coming together live, and you get to experience it now. This is available through business critical services today. We have so many of these. We have over 30. There's 3 that I'll highlight really quickly and stop by and learn more at the booth about. So when it comes to full stack observability, which you hopefully have heard about by now here at Cisco Live, if you think about it, full stack observability is really supposed to give you insights into your customers' digital experience or into how your hybrid cloud is operating. We can help you with our Scrum services really get going from that initial assessment to that day 1 operation to the ongoing operations to optimizations and transformation. So, you know, while FSO helps you with that, we can help accelerate that for you. So that's an example of new technology that we're making happen faster for you. The next one is routed optical networks. Now, this is an area where we might be creating some challenges for our customers. Because as cool as the technology is and as high as the ROI is, you're now taking the IP plane and the optical plane and you're bringing them together. Well, that tends to be two different teams. So you kind of instantly create a skills gap. So our Scrum service experts can come in and help you with that and bring the tools with you to do that modeling, to do the assessment, to do those initial configurations. Again, human plus digital intelligence coming together. And then last and far from least is automation. So automation sometimes is overused, but we have a large number of automations that we bring to all of our customers. Here at the show, we're introducing 2 new automations, and actually more than 2, but 2 that I'll highlight. One is around really automated incident and assurance. Now this is a case where we'll come in, we'll set up the automation, it runs automated, so maybe you don't think you need the people. We actually have people in the background who do the assurance to make certain that that incident automation operated properly. Cool. We do a very similar thing with automated change and assurance, where you can plan the change, we'll run the change, like a big configuration change or a software change, and then we'll have in the background the humans. So again, human plus digital intelligence brought to life through Scrum services in BCS.
What else, Chris? Tell us more.
What else? There's 2 more. So 2 more. Hey, Cisco U. You have to stop by the DevNet experience area and see Cisco U. You know us for training and certifications. I argue that Cisco really created training and certifications, has brought us all along in the industry. Well, guess what? The new generation of learners, they want to learn in a different way. They want a community. They don't want just content from Cisco, they want content from the industry. Our learning and certification team has worked to develop a whole new digital experience. And this too is powered by AI and ML so that you can now create your own journey. You can have a community of customers and partners, other content providers, and of course, Cisco's own experts who you can tap into. This has taken our whole learning and certification to a whole nother depth. But it's cool because you get to lay out your whole journey with the help of a little technology in the background. So again, human and digital intelligence coming together. And then last, we were really talking about CX Cloud earlier, which is super exciting, right?
Yep.
But where are the people? Alistair said there's tiny little people in there, right, who are doing ATXs and accelerators. Actually, they're human life-size people. But what we're doing now is we're actually bringing together those Scrum services capabilities and the whole power of business-critical services, and we're bringing that into CX Cloud experience. This is real excitement because you know what? Now as a customer or as a partner, you can look at lifecycle, you can look at your assets, you can look at all this digital input, you can do it yourself, but right there, you also have a connection to those Cisco experts or those partner experts. And you can interact with them either digitally or in person, but after you interact with them in person, all of that can be captured through this digital experience. So we call this Success Tracks L3. You can go see a demo of that also down in our center. So those are the big 3 there.
They're huge, Chris.
They're huge.
So if you wrap it all together, though, I think we'll go back to where we started. It's all about simplicity. We're trying to make it simple. We're trying to make it interactive, the best of digital and human together. Now with that, we're going to have a little bit of fun now.
What?
Because we are going to give you an opportunity to win a bike.
Win a bike?
Win a bike.
Win a bike.
Win a bike.
Welcome to Cisco Live. For those of you that are here with us, welcome to Las Vegas. It's great to be back with live events, and I'm also excited to hit all of my move goals, averaging about 8 miles a day. So let's dive in and talk about the innovations that we're bringing to SASE. Even with the return to office, remote work and hybrid work are here to stay, as people work from anywhere on a continuous basis. We will continue to see businesses return to office at varying levels. And the next normal will see more people working from essentially anywhere. I think the clicker, yeah. 55% of people want to continue working from home. And in our own workforce analysis, 70% of our employees and workers indicated that they want the flexibility to work from wherever they want to. User mobility and agility to respond to changing business conditions is growing to be a paramount capability for the modern enterprise. 85% of CIOs see empowering the distributed workforce with seamless access to applications and high-quality collaborative experience as top of mind. With the accelerated transition to cloud, applications can now be anywhere. They're no longer confined to the four walls of the data center. Applications can run in private clouds, in public clouds, and also consumed as SaaS. And coupling that with the hybrid work reality we just talked about, both users and applications can now be anywhere. And this leads to significant changes in network patterns and a dramatic increase in internet traffic, going up from 20% to 80% in many cases. The internet essentially becomes your new network, and the cloud becomes your new data center. These changes also have significant security implications. The traditional trusted perimeter essentially no longer exists. The attack surface exponentially increases, and we see cybercrimes and ransomware on the rise. Attacks are becoming way more sophisticated. So maintaining this connectivity, the security, the controls, and the governance across all your data, all of your networks in this hyper-distributed landscape is a heavy burden, contributing to a lot of complexity in the system. And all of this creates the foundation, the conditions to this inevitable convergence of networking and security, and to this movement to SASE. We are seeing this convergence, as well as the adoption of SASE, continue to accelerate, with 60% of enterprises expected to adopt SASE over the next 3 years. So at Cisco, we will continue to deliver new innovations and take a two-pronged approach to SASE. For customers that look for best-of-breed products, customers that need a high level of operational flexibility and control, and are looking for feature depth, we will continue to enhance our umbrella, Duo, and our security portfolio, as well as our Sd-Wan and networking portfolios. These serve as the building blocks that are available for customers that are looking to build their own SASE solution. And we'll continue to introduce high-value integrations between those components, between those building blocks. So the more of them you consume, they will work better together and create a better experience. But for customers that are looking for speed and simplicity and focus on the outcomes of SASE, I'm excited to announce Cisco Plus Secure Connect Now, a turnkey SASE offer that's available as a single subscription service. Cisco Plus Secure Connect Now is our unified SASE solution. It is powered by the Cisco Security Cloud and the Meraki platform. And it simplifies operations, speeds deployments through a unified cloud-managed dashboard, really bringing together our best-in-class networking, client connectivity, security, and monitoring capabilities into this single subscription. This as-a-service offer blurs the lines of separate architectures, and it focuses on the outcomes that can be created by this truly unified experience. Cisco Plus Secure Connect is a simple, secure, and intelligent service that delivers seamless, secure access to any application over any network, anywhere users work. So let me invite VB, one of our technical marketing engineers, on stage to show us this unified experience of Cisco Plus Secure Connect now in action. VB? Ready?
Yes.
Awesome. So I think we need to go back a little bit on the Okay, so VB, I've mentioned that Cisco Plus Secure Connect now is a simple and easy to use solution. Can you walk us through the admin experience of how to connect Sd-Wan sites to the offer?
Absolutely, Omri. So getting started with Secure Connect sites is really easy. Over here for the demo, I have created 2 cloud hubs, one in the EMEA region and another in the US. Now, what are these cloud hubs? These cloud hubs are dual location HA pair in the Cisco Security Cloud. When you spin up one of the sites, and you can have another one which you get for the redundancy itself. So let's get started to see how you can add the Meraki SD-WAN sites to these cloud hubs. So over here, I go into the Meraki networks. Automatically, you see all your SD-WAN sites that are part of Cisco Plus Secure Connect now. Here you can see that I have a US branch. I can take that branch and add it to the US Cloud Hub itself. Then I take the branches that I have in the Europe region, I take those branches and add it to the Cloud Hubs in the EMEA region itself. And that's it. You have just added these sites to the Cloud Hubs. As you can see, I have different Cloud Hubs over here, Frankfurt and London in the EMEA region. I have Ashburn and New York over here. Once you do that, you go ahead and save your configuration, and that's it. Now you have added these Meraki SD-WAN sites into these cloud hubs itself. And then Cisco does all the heavy lifting for you. All the auto VPNs gets created, everything from the Cisco Plus Secure Connect Now dashboard.
Wow, this is cool. So I don't need to think about IP addresses or setting up tunnels. We do all the magic. Great. But VB, what about users? We also need to add users, right?
Absolutely. Users is also really important for us. So here in the Secure Connect, you can go ahead and add the users. But what we want to give is, we want to give the flexibility to our customers. Here, as you can see, I can add the third-party identity providers. Could be an Active Directory, Okta, Duo, whatever the customers want. But at the same time, to get really started quickly, they can go ahead and click on Meraki Cloud Auth instance over here. And in the background, we spin up a Meraki Cloud Auth instance for them. All they need to do is just add a user. For here, the demo, I have already added this user. And as you can see, this remote access is enabled for that user.
Wow, this is lightning fast. So just maybe to recap, with just a few clicks, any on-site or remote user is actually now secured, right?
Absolutely.
Right. But I still need to connect to my applications, right? Because this is what SASE is all about. So how do I connect to applications?
Absolutely, and that's where I get really the most excited. ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, is really important for Cisco Plus Secure Connect now. So I'll show you how you can go and connect your applications. From my Secure Connect itself, the first thing I want to create a posture profile. Now, what is this posture profile? I want to make sure wherever my customers are coming from, it could be an operating system, browser, geolocation, and you can go ahead. So I go and create a profile for definitely our Cisco Live audience. What I'll do is I create a profile, and I want to use certain operating system. I go in there. I love Mac OS. I use that. I add a browser, I take the browser, add the Chrome, and then what I want to do is I want to make sure that they come from certain locations. I go in there, add the location itself. So for example, I want them to come from Americas, but within Americas itself, let's just say they want to come from North American regions itself. Once it's done, you go ahead and review, you save your configuration, and that's it. You have created a profile for any user wherever they are. Could be in Starbucks, at home, wherever they are coming from. But here's the thing. You have this profile, but you want to add it to a policy. What you do is you go in there and go to Zero Trust Network Access, a browser access policy. In this policy, what you want to do is everything that we have just done, user, groups, application, add it in there. So let's go ahead and add a rule. Again, we go in there, add the rule, And what I really want to do is, I'll become Bill. So what I want to do is, I over here add Bill to this access policy. But at the same time, as you can see, I can add a group of users. So marketing folks can go to the marketing applications, and that's what the Zero Trust is all about, making sure that they can go to those applications, whatever they are authenticated for.
So I basically don't need to go and update my policies if I have new users that join the group. This is really powerful.
Absolutely. And then what I want to do is I want to go and make sure that they can go to that particular private application, make sure just the posture profile that we just added, save your configuration, and that's it. It's truly the most simple ZTNA solution right now in the market.
Wow, this is cool. So connecting sites, connecting users, having zero trust, and enabling access to applications. But once I get going, how do the admins monitor their environment?
Absolutely. So monitoring is really important because IT admins want to monitor what's going on with the environment. So let's go in to see how the environment looks like. As you can see from the dashboard itself, I can see all the blocks happening, all the requests, policies, sites, connectivity, users, applications from one unified dashboard.
Wow. I'm sure that admins would love this unified experience. Maybe this is truly simplicity at its best. But when we talk about the experience, it is not only about the admin experience. What matters is really the end user experience. So VB, can you show us a little bit of how the end user experience looks like once you've configured this access to applications?
Yeah, so remember, I'm Bill.
Oh, so, Bill, yeah, I'll start to call you Bill.
Yeah, so let's go and see, without ever going to a VPN, how can I go and just from the browser itself, hit that browser application. I go in there and I want to make sure that I enter my credentials, only if I remember my password for sure. Once this is done, you add this stuff, and then you can also, what you can do is you can add your multi-factor authentication, could be Duo, Okta, whatever you want to have. And once this is done, I want to make sure that I can reach these websites from wherever they are. Now, these users, like I said, we have contractors, we have folks sitting in Starbucks somewhere. They just don't want to connect to the VPN, and that's it. Once that is done, you can access that private application directly from the browser, truly zero trust network access. And here I am. I'm in the ABC Health Connections billing page. I'm good.
And so this basically creates almost an invisible way to connect to applications. But what happens if there's either a security concern or a policy in the organization to block you? The users usually kind of scratch their heads and go, like, what's going on?
Absolutely. So organizations can create the policies based upon different, compliance that they have, and they really need to make that. So for example, I have a policy over there. Let's just say I don't want my users to, let's just say, go to twitter.com. Lots of people do tweets. Not great at the work environment. So let's see, if I go to twitter.com, oops, I just get a block that I'm blocked due to content filtering, all within the Cisco Plus Secure Connect now with the policy that you have just created. But let's just say, Omri, that we have some compliance issues, some data stuff going on, and we want to make sure all the data loss prevention policies are set by the organization. So let's just say I have a dummy application, Pastebin, I want to go add a credit card details in there and want to make sure I protect my workers with the credit card, all the details that they have. I add it there, see if I can go ahead and that data loss, oops, again I'm blocked. Okay, because of the DLPs, I cannot move ahead. So these are some of the very few things that we can configure in the Cisco Plus Secure Connect now. But again, from that unified dashboard, you can do a lot more things.
This is amazing. So again, VB or Bill, thanks a lot for this great peek into the unified experience that Cisco Plus Secure Connect now brings. But you're hearing a lot of this from us. And after seeing this in action, let's also hear from one of our customers about their SASE journey and their experience with Cisco Plus Secure Connect now.
Hi, I'm Tim Mullen, and I'm the CIO of George Sink PA Injury Lawyers. We are a 13-site organization. It's around 200 employees. I'm responsible for the overall vision and execution of the IT strategy for the entire company. And it's our goal to provide resilient, secure, and accessible network infrastructure for all of the employees so that they can service the thousands of clients that we have. One of the greatest challenges that we faced as a business was providing clean, secure, and easy access to our entire infrastructure to the whole staff remotely. And that's primarily what we're using Cisco Secure Connect now for. The strategy I have as CIO to really meet those unique challenges are cloud first, and that is to remove any dependency on on-premise infrastructure insofar as remote access is concerned. We chose Cisco to help us solve our evolving problems because they are the undisputed industry leader in providing secure infrastructure solutions and helping us design secure access paradigms. Having a centralized cloud-based deployment console is outstanding. Maintaining the infrastructure that we must to keep the company running is hard work. Deploying Cisco Secure Connect now allowed me to provide a remote access solution that was simple and secure and something that I can feel good about at the end of the day.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. So to do a bit of a recap, we talked about the fact that hybrid work is here to stay, and the traditional networking and security models introduce a lot of complexity, and in some cases no longer apply and work. Getting the right SASE solution is key to ensure resilience and to maintain agility to quickly respond to changes in the dynamic environment that we're in. With our broad portfolio, footprint, and proven track record of innovations in both the network and security spaces, Cisco is best positioned to provide customers with the right SASE solution for them. Some vendors want you to start SASE their way and want you to follow a very specific journey. At Cisco, we know that there is no one-size-fits-all to SASE. So each SASE journey is unique. Do SASE your way. One of the additional important cornerstones of making SASE work is to provide visibility to your environment. We saw some of the aggregated monitoring. But as we look at the future of SASE, what if instead of quickly responding to the ever-changing demands, you can actually predict certain application and network issues before they actually occur? Truly create this seamless experience for your users. So I'm thrilled to invite my friend Mohit Lad to talk about the innovations that are incubating in Cisco and how we're delivering on the predictive network vision.
Thank you, Omri.
You have the power.
I have the power. Thank you. That was great. So quick introduction. I'm Mohit Lad. I was the co-founder and CEO at ThousandEyes, and now run the ThousandEyes business inside Cisco. For those of you who do not know ThousandEyes, we make some awesome T-shirts, just in case. And I kid you not, like I was at the booth, and the amount of times I got complimented on the T-shirts was more than the product, which I was disappointed with, but still. So real quick, we created ThousandEyes because we believed that the internet was going to become the digital center, the new network. And by the way, how many people in this audience, just a poll, like raise your hand if you have something to do with a network, if you're managing a network, if you're managing network environments. Now raise your hand if you were patted this morning on your back because you did not break something today. Never happens. Never happens, because the network is always responsible. And so if you stay with me for the next 6 minutes or so, I'm going to show you some really cool things that are going to help you not be blamed for issues that are not yours. And so in this world where you're responsible for all of these changes that are happening, where the network is central to everything, and yet you don't control, ThousandEyes helps you look at the internet, SaaS applications, even though they're not controlled by you, the health of these applications. It's the internet at your fingertips. I just made that up. If my marketing team is here, the internet at your fingertips. And I'm going to show you a sneak preview of that. So let's jump into that. We do a couple things. The first thing we do is we show you this global dashboard that is showing you a live view of the health of the internet, the health of SaaS applications, right? So you have on the left-hand side here, and you can actually select just the top application. So here you're seeing some top applications we're monitoring from our billions of measurements and giving you a view of whether there was an outage that was happening. And you could click on any one of them. Like this is a share file outage that we saw. And it helps you, gives you the ability to actually look into this outage, historics as well, and see what specifically was breaking. So in this scenario here, you see the outage was impacting like a bunch of regions from United States to UK and so on and so forth. Now, that's not the only thing. You can also go into the network side of things and look at a network outage as well. And we can make this a bit more interactive. So if you're troubleshooting an issue right now and you want to jump into something, call out a name and we'll click on it. Where do you want to click? Amazon, all right. So let's click on Amazon. And when you click on Amazon, you're actually now immediately able to understand the outage that is happening inside Amazon's environment. So this is showing that on the right-hand side is the Amazon network that is impacted by an outage. And the effect of this is felt in United States and in Israel. And so you can actually start to click deeper and notice that the concentration of this particular outage is in Ashburn instance. And then even click deeper and go into all of this. So this is a quick view for you to instantly understand what's happening on the internet right now. And while this is a product, we've also made a very easy-to-use web interface. If you go to thousandeyes.com/outages, you'll see a very simplified version of this. It loads up on your phone. Even if you're having dinner, you can pick it up and immediately see, like, hey, SharePoint is having an outage. Stop calling me. It's as simple as that. Now, beyond that, what we do is we're now, as 2 years inside Cisco, bringing that internet visibility and extending it into corporate environments. And this is what WAN Insights is about. So with WAN Insights, with Sd-Wan deployments, Cisco Sd-Wan deployments, we are now able to look at historic patterns of performance for each site and be able to forecast issues that are going to happen in the future based on our own learning, and then be able to also recommend you changes that you would need to make to get a better experience. And so this is really powerful. We've tested this in some customer environments, and it really helps you the ability to become more proactive with your experience. So let's take a quick look. This is WAN Insights. We're launching this. It's in private preview mode. And the world map here shows you your sites, so your global sites. And the color coding is really showing you the recommendations that are made and whether they were deployed and so forth. So that's a very high-level global map. From there, you can move to the application summary. And this is really showing key applications and top sites that need to be changed to give a better experience. So if you focus on Office 365 here, you can notice, and I'm going to click on one of these sites. This data is anonymized, but here on this site, it shows that you can get almost a 7-8% improvement in performance if you make a change in your policy. So if I click there, this shows you a couple things. So the blue line is showing the recommendation that we're making, and then the gray line is showing your existing performance. So here the recommendation says that you switch from your public internet interface to a business internet. So these are the two circuit labels you have. And not only that, you can actually go back in time and understand how the recommendation worked. So right here, this is historic data, and we are basically saying that when this recommendation was made, through that period of time, we're showing you how that recommendation would have played out and how much improvement it would have given over time. And if you're really interested in understanding a bit more, then you can click on this second click detail, which now gives you the ability to actually understand this from all your site pairs. So on the right-hand side, you see the pairings of 2 to 2. And then over here, we're doing measurements over time and really sort of seeing the experience through all the sites and all combinations. And your default right now is using basically anything that works. But we're recommending in this situation, you shut off public internet for Office 365 and move to Biz Internet, and you'll just get a lot more predictable experience. So that was my quick preview of WAN Insights. It's really interesting because in addition to the strong and unique visibility you have on the internet, we're now pulling data from Sd-Wan environments and really making it very actionable to your own environments with key SaaS applications. We're able to forecast conditions, which is something that is a first of its kind, gives you the ability to take actions and recommend, apply recommendations to make the changes, and finally improve the user experience. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about bringing this together with the internet visibility. And hopefully, if you guys want some more data on this, more insights, please stop by our booths. We also have some awesome T-shirts, as I mentioned, and that would complete the picture for you. So thank you very much. Omri, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohit. So this is really amazing, and I cannot wait, Mohit, to see how this continues to power our portfolio. So before we close, just a quick call to action. Scan the QR code and join the conversation. Ask questions, learn more about our SASE solutions, about our innovations, and read the ebook, and start your SASE journey today. Enjoy the show, learn more, and have a great time. Thank you.
Welcome back. My name is Rob Boyd. I'm here in the broadcast studio with my good friend, fellow co-host, Alex Felker. How are you doing, Alex?
Doing excellent. How are you doing?
So Predictive Insights, we're finally getting some insight into exactly what is happening in regards to predicting the future, not just analyzing the present. I want to check in with Lauren, who's out on the show floor. Lauren, what you got?
Here with Alex Cruz-Farmer, Product Manager for Thousand Eyes End User Experience. Alex, how are you today? Alex, doing good?
Yeah, I am great. It's great to be here.
We keep hearing this theme, right, about hybrid work, and it's everything we do is everywhere, right? How does Thousand Eyes help us deliver that experience?
Well, IT teams have had this huge challenge of not being able to see what the user sees. What we've brought with Thousand Eyes and the endpoint agent in particular is that ability to drill down and see what the user sees. We give the IT teams the ability to look at the network path end to end from the user all the way through to applications like WebEx.
Wow, wow, wow. And what is the biggest problem, let's just say? Because I know as a systems engineering manager, and I was a systems engineer for a while there, people always want to blame the network.
Yeah, everybody loves to blame.
What's the biggest issue really? Is it really the network or what?
Well, that's the thing. Generally, everybody will blame the application or blame the VPN. But really what we truly see is that a lot of these issues end up being something like the Wi-Fi. Like, you know, people love to work in their garden on a sunny day, but the Wi-Fi doesn't always get out there. So often there are these little Wi-Fi issues, or there are small little niggles in maybe their local ISP, or maybe even some regional congestion. And these are the types of things that Thousand Eyes can really help you identify.
Wow. Well, I know one thing's for sure. Don't blame the network anymore. Get Thousand Eyes in their team, and I am going to send it back to the studio. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Rob.
Absolutely. Yeah, Thousand Eyes has been one of the best partners. Thank you very much, Lauren. I'll let you go and find us a new victim. But yeah, Alex, Thousand Eyes has been very, very instrumental in helping us increase visibility well outside of what we think of in terms of the local area network. And so as we increase visibility, because we have this increased dependence on the wide area network and in large parts of the network that we can't always control. So I like where this is going, but it's interesting that we're already moving forward with predicting, which is kind of a cocky thing to say, but I don't know, I think good times ahead.
Yeah, and offering recommendations too. Yeah. How you can fix your network, and
which is the way we need it, right? Yeah. We need our systems to work with us, not necessarily trying to take us away. It's all about making us better. Well, with that, guys, it's time to switch gears just a little bit for IoT. It's industrial IoT and the iTalk coming up right now.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Great to be live again at Cisco Live. Look, we have an action-packed 30 minutes for you coming up. We're going to talk about real-world use cases, we're going to introduce some new concepts, and we're going to tell you about how we are digitizing the physical world, whether it's manufacturing, utilities, or public sector environments. Now, we've been talking about IoT for several years. Make sure I can click forward. If you go to the next slide, We've been talking about IoT for several years. And what's really happens in IoT is about digitizing industries and creating real-world outcomes. Now, to level set a little bit about IoT, IoT can be about the industrial environment. It can be about a range of sensors and new cameras and other technology that's being deployed in these environments. And it is about cellular IoT devices being deployed at large scale across the ecosystem. Now, at the end of the day, IoT is about two real benefits. One, how can it improve your operational outcomes? Whether it's increasing uptime in industrial settings, or it's about getting access to the data such that you can deliver better business outcomes. And second, it's really about delivering great customer experiences. This morning at the Ford video, hopefully you got to see both of them in action. How Ford is working to digitize their factory environments to make sure that they have great production capacity. They're connecting to the roadways and intersections to get real-world data. But at the end of the day, they're delivering an awesome customer experience to the driver and making sure that they stay safe. Over the past 3 years, the IoT technology has grown, has matured, and customers that are here and also watching on the live feed are able to realize the real value that IoT is creating for them. And it's creating real business value and business impact in each of the settings. So as you can see the page, manufacturing, utilities, energy, all the way in vehicle and fleet environments, Cisco has been working with customers to create real business value for you. Now, as you look forward, and as we have worked with our customers, three big trends really stand out. First is about IT and OT partnerships. Look, operational teams really understand the domain. They understand the process. They understand the environment that they're working in, and they really understand what they're trying to get done. IT teams, on the other hand, understand the power of technology. What can you do with the power of technology, whether it's with networking, security, automation? And really, the real magic happens when both teams kind of come together and work to create new valuable use cases, new valuable capabilities. Whether it's in manufacturing, mining, ports, the real customer success is realized when both of these two teams are working together. Now, many of you in IT are actually extending the reach of your corporate IT networks into these operational domains. And when you do that, devices that might have been there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years are now getting exposed to the broader threat surface, and they're getting exposed to these security vulnerabilities. And that is the real problem with the security topic, which needs, again, the help of both IT and operational teams. IT teams think about, well, the threat to my enterprise and what's happening there, but in the operational environment, the threats are much, much higher. It could be about safety of an asset. It could be downtime of production value, where you're creating new products or new widgets, as an example, but it would also be about safety of employees. And so cybersecurity has real exposure and real threat when it comes to the operational areas, which requires these teams to work together. Whether you're in manufacturing, utilities, or in these other environments, there's a diverse set of wireless choices that customers have in front of them. Whether they're connecting, and it all depends on the use case, so the devices you're connecting, the battery life, the range, the usage of these devices. Wi-Fi 6 is prevalent across all of these environments. When it comes to an end-user device, your smartphone, your iPad, or your laptop, they're going to continue to use Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E in the near future. But in other cases, you're looking for super reliable capabilities, and customers in ports, mining, are using our technologies like Cisco Ultra Reliable Wireless to be able to connect those assets. You also have sensors in your environments. It could be LoRa, it could be the capabilities of 802.15.4, depending on the sensor and the type of device you're connecting. In this heterogeneous and in this diverse landscape, 5G is here now. 5G is being talked about by the CTO teams, by architecture teams, and how 5G can enable and open up new use cases. So in the next 20 minutes, we're going to go pretty fast paced. I'll start out by showing you some set of use cases from 4 different industries and kind of tickle your imagination about all the real things that are happening out in the real world. Second, we're going to talk about the operational teams. What tool sets do they need, and how you and IT organizations can support the operational teams to be successful. And then Masoom is going to come up and talk to us about 5G and some of the early use cases that we are seeing in these industries and how we can use 5G in these real world scenarios. So with that, let's get started. First, let's take a look at a manufacturing environment. Now, this is a real picture from an automotive manufacturing company. And what you really find there is there is no racks, there is no cabinets, there is no heating, there is nothing of those things. The network is installed out in the open. So those white products that you see there are actually IP67 switches to be able to run a plant environment. In the gray cabinet is an Allen Bradley or a Rockwell PLC, which is doing the automation for these environments. Now, the real question, the point I want to make sure is when you go talk to customers in these environments and when you realize this, they might still be using clipboard and writing down the assets that are connected in their environments. And if you don't really know what those assets are, you really don't know what vulnerabilities, or CVEs as we might call them in the IT sector, for these devices. So it really all starts with visibility. Do we have an inventory or a collection understanding of all the devices that are in their environment? And this is an area where we are helping our customers to be able to get their arms around the device inventory in these operational settings. Let's move from manufacturing to an environment like a data center. This is a picture of one of the largest data centers that are out there, and they have thousands of video surveillance cameras outside of their environment. And you need PoE to connect to these cameras to be able to get real-world, real-time traffic. And Cisco has been working with the physical security and the security teams to be able to power these cameras using our Catalyst industrial Ethernet switches, runs the same software that you might be using with the Catalyst 9K, using maybe DNA Center as a way to manage these environments, all using the single integrated console capability. Now, once these devices are out there, now you can use it for power consumption, HVAC, building management on other systems, and that's what this customer is out there doing. From here, let's move over to the utility market. Here, what you see a picture of is a Recloser Cabinet. For folks that might not be familiar with a Recloser, Recloser is an electrical switch. It controls the flow of electricity, and it has to work in milliseconds such that you don't feel a power failure at your home and your kids can continue to do what they want to do. Now, in these environments, what you're really seeing is deployment of cellular connected devices to be able to control the Recloser networks. I have a solar photovoltaic system on my home. So as I generate electricity, my local utility, PG&E, needs to be able to know what the real-time flow of information is. And so that's what these networks are doing. Whether it's in France, in Italy, in Ohio, thousands and thousands of these devices are getting deployed. So in this case, the security is not just the device security, is not just the IT security, it's physical security of those devices as well. From here, let's jump over and talk about roadways and intersections. This morning, hopefully many of you saw the Ford video. What we talked about in that video was really connection of these intersections and traffic cabinets that are out there. The leading use case is pedestrian safety and what's called traffic preemption. An example of use case of that is, imagine there's an accident across the street and you need to bring a first responder to that location. A traffic preemption system is that you can actually get the first responder to get a green corridor all the way through the signals such that they can get there in the fastest way possible, because the Department of Transportation gets measured on fatalities per mile driven. And so that's a real world, again, use case where each of these intersection cabinets are getting connected, fiber, cellular, other technologies, such that they can get real world information and access. So hopefully with these four use cases, what you can now see is how IoT in the physical world, in the industrial real world, is getting deployed to solve real world tangible problems. And the technology has come of age and is a lot more mature today than it was even a couple years ago. So next slide really talks about the power of what IT teams can do. You have the capability and understanding of what's possible. You're doing amazing. We are doing amazing things when it comes from an IT point of view. But now IT has to be able to extend your influence outside of the carpeted space and in the white-collar environments to these physical worlds and these blue-collar environments. The knowledge you have around automation, the knowledge you have around security, the knowledge you have about running systems at scale, you need to be able to extend that capability into the operational settings. And when you do that, you can make a much, much bigger difference to the enterprise and to the value that you can create into these environments. So that's something that I want to make sure that all of us kind of take away from it. It's like, how can you be curious about what's happening? And trust me, we talk about that with our own and Cisco sales teams to be able to go and get creative and look at the power of technology can do in these environments. So I'm going to change gears a little bit. So now hopefully with this, you can understand some of the leading use cases, the role IT can play, But what you'll realize is there are many, many teams in your environment or in our customer environments that have a very much an OT-oriented focus. They think about their traffic cabinets, they think about manufacturing assets, and those teams also need the right set of tools and capability to do their job. And so for that operational user, or we call them OT for short, that OT user, we created a capability of operations dashboard. You and IT can create a configuration all the way down. It can be an iOS config, which has the right security policy, right network architecture, all of those things. But then you have to be able to deploy that at scale such that that OT user can do their job. One real use case in OT environments is about secure equipment access. You might not be aware of this, but many of the operational environments, customers might put a cellular gateway on top of an asset such that their contractor can get remote access and be able to service it, clearly creating security vulnerabilities and backdoors and shadow IT, so to speak, in their environments. So let's watch a quick video that kind of talks to you about some of the power of what we're doing and just hopefully gives you a better sense of where we're going. So hopefully, play the video, please.
The industrial IoT has come of age. Organizations are connecting industrial assets of all kinds, which creates new challenges for operations teams. They need to manage all these assets at scale, schedule and complete maintenance activities fast, and do it all remotely, minimizing expensive site visits that can take time and risk employee safety. In this demo, we'll show you how Cisco IoT Operations Dashboard and Secure Equipment Access make it easy to configure connected assets from any location, quickly and securely. Let's consider an agency managing a traffic system. Keeping everything running smoothly requires regular equipment updates at scale. Suppose there's an issue at an intersection. In the past, solving the problem manually required an expensive truck roll that could take hours. Cisco IoT Operations Dashboard and Secure Equipment Access puts full control and visibility at your fingertips from any location. See all your network devices and their locations on a single pane of glass. Here, we can see a device at this intersection, Dairy 111. When we click on the device, we see all the connected clients sitting behind it at the intersection, such as a LiDAR sensor, Meraki camera, weather sensor, and more. So we can see what's happening at this location in seconds. Click on the camera, and we can redirect to the Meraki dashboard and pull up a live view of the Meraki camera. Need to adjust a connected asset? There's no need for an on-site visit. We can simply click on a device, open a connection to a LiDAR server, and connect to the server at the location using VNC. We can change settings on the sensor or the server itself, save, and exit the application. In some cases, an external vendor may need access to your environment. With Secure Equipment Access, you can offer role-based access for internal employees and external workers, such as systems integrators or equipment vendors. Then easily define who has access and which privileges are enabled. Suppose we need to enable an external vendor to update one of our traffic devices. Using Secure Equipment Access, we can define a view to give the vendor access to the devices they need to see. Here, we've defined a group called Road Technician. We will add this user to the group and give them access to the 6 devices shown. When the remote technician logs in, they won't see the map, only the devices they've been given access to. They can't add or remove access, create groups, or make other changes. Cisco IoT Operations Dashboard and Secure Equipment Access is browser-based, so no additional software is required on the worker's laptop, and they are never connected to your internal network. The technician can click on the LiDAR server and connect to it via VNC, and make changes to the server or sensor settings, such as refresh rate or timers. When the job is done, they can save and exit the application. Maybe the technician needs to examine logs for the server. He can connect via CLI and run a command to look at the logs. Cisco IoT Operations Dashboard and Secure Equipment Access support deployment and visibility of connectivity for your Cisco industrial routers and gateways and your connected industrial assets, enabling secure role-based access to your assets for anyone inside or outside your organization, while complying with your IT security policies, all remotely with fewer expensive truck rolls, empowering you to digitize the industrial edge securely and at scale.
Hopefully that was clear. Now we're going to switch to the third part of the conversation and really talk about 5G. So for that, I'm going to welcome up Masoom to kind of take it from here.
Thank you, Vikas. 5G is a topic I think almost all CIOs are talking about 5G. We wanted to start with, okay, what's happening with 5G today, but most relevantly, what we think the biggest 5G outcome is going to come through. So worldwide, everywhere, big carriers are deploying 5G to give you more bandwidth on your cell phone. It's happening fast, but also it's also connecting a lot of unconnected homes. And during pandemic, it became a big issue that there are a lot of unconnected people who did not have access to broadband. 5G is enabling that today. But if you also look at your experience, is your experience fundamentally changing by 5G handsets? Not yet. But what we see, 5G is going to have a lot more profound impact in these spaces where OT is going through a major digital transformation. So Vikas talked about all the technologies that we have today and how we are making the environment simpler and safer with the technology that we have. 5G is also going to come into the same space and help accelerate this digitization. I wanted to start with the first mover 5G use cases driven by this OT digitization. Number one is, Vikas talked about asset visibility. When you think about 5G coming into the fold, we have existing technology, 5G comes in, more and more endpoint, high-value assets are getting connected to the system. So it creates a tremendous amount of opportunity to completely digitize asset tracking of any sort. It can be cellular connected, it could be Wi-Fi connected, other wireless technology connected, but this is one of the use cases where we are seeing tangible outcome because it's going to drive efficiency in our operation, it will improve safety of your assets. This is one of the use cases that we see as the leading adopter of 5G for OT and IT environments. The second environment is digital venues. What I mean by digital venues, we all love to come to big venues like this, stadiums, games, you name it, airports. So what happens, one good example is we gathered some data from the last Super Bowl in SoFi Stadium. Thousands of fans came in one place, and they're not only watching the game, they're streaming a ton of data to others. And while that was happening, you know, in these digital environments, your entire transaction systems, you're consuming something, it also runs on the same network. Your surveillance system also runs on the same system. Oftentimes, it creates congestion. So what we are noticing with 5G, a lot of folks are looking at building a network parallel to the Wi-Fi network that you have to drive all these operational technologies, transaction systems, your surveillance systems, security systems can still run on a 5G network hand in hand with a Wi-Fi network. And there are possibilities also to expand the Wi-Fi coverage with 5G as a backhaul technology in this environment. The last one is on, most of it is going to take a little bit of time. We heard Vikas talking about new factories. You heard in the morning how Ford Motor Company transforming the way they build cars. So there are technologies available today, and there is a lot more we can do. Autonomous smart factories is another landing spot where we're seeing a lot of AMRs and AGVs, which actually requires a very, very sophisticated and reliable connectivity between the machine and the control point of that machine. It's pushing the boundaries that they need very predictable, less than 50 milliseconds, pushing towards less than 7 milliseconds of round-trip latency between the machine and the control point. And these are the very first set of use cases that we see being adopted mostly in the OT environment. But I wanted to highlight, none of these 5G networks are going to be built in isolation. They're all going to be coexisting with the technologies that you have on the ground. And more importantly, it cannot break the progress that we have made with asset visibility as well as security. So I wanted to sort of wrap up on why 5G really matters, why people consider 5G in 3 buckets. What is the technical attribute that makes 5G so compelling for some of these use cases? If you look into technology side, obviously 5G runs on a regulated clean spectrum. You don't share that spectrum with anyone else. And on top of that, 5G also comes with very predictable low latency attributes. You can have very dense environment and wide coverage. So that's some of the reason why 5G is becoming very, very compelling for these OT environments, augmenting the technology that we have. But you cannot just bring the technology and add complexity to your IT and OT, especially when you go to OT. Most of you know in IT side, you already have your hands full. Now you have to support OT. If we don't simplify operation for you, you're not going to bring that to the rest of the environment. So we need to make sure we have to bring simplicity and management, not only simplicity, but intuitive operation with 5G. And we got your back covered. We announced our private 5G offer, and this is actually built as a completely cloud managed, a software offer. So as a result of that, you don't have to go through the complexity of the 5G technology. You're going to bring this similar look and feel of how you run IT. Most importantly, it's pre-integrated with identity management and the security and the zero trust architecture that you're already building and deploying. Last but not least, we cannot do it alone. Vikas talked about the environment. You can envision in these environments not only the network and the security that runs the business. To make this ecosystem evolve, we have to have sophisticated partners who understand this domain very well, the IT domain, the OT domain, security domain, as well as infrastructure domain. And we don't stop there. We have to go up on the business process operation as well. We can do it, and the way we are approaching this space is we are bringing our partner ecosystem to help drive that entire simplicity as a managed service to all of you. So it's my great pleasure to invite my friend, Shahid Ahmed from NTT, to talk a little bit about how NTT leveraging their expertise and experience and our technologies to move this market forward. Shahid, welcome.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
Good to see you. So we'll just do a little bit of fireside chat. We don't have fire here, but that's fine. So Shahid, why don't you start maybe introducing NTT a little bit?
Yep. Those of you, how many people know NTT? Raise your hands. Okay, great. We are a global brand. Most of you probably know Docomo, which is a Japanese cellular carrier, but outside of Japan, we have a number of different companies, including NTT Limited, NTT Data, which have, by the way, combined as of last week. But essentially, we're a system integrator company. We're a data center company, one of the largest in the world. We have undersea cable. We are a global IP network. And if you look up in the Gartner's network services leader quadrant, we're literally the North Star up there. So we do a lot of things.
So Shahid, we know that NTT and Cisco have been working together for many, many years, literally on every technology, every industry. But in this space of OT, it's becoming complex. A lot of technology needs to come together. We bring some we don't have, and you have your competency. So how do you see this evolution of OT, IT, and adoption of new technology with 5G? It's going to get simpler for the end user. How do you view it, and what is the role the entity is going to play?
Yeah, first of all, I think we have to address these issues through the lenses of business process. You talked about that because you talked about that in your talk. But we really have to figure out what business problem are you solving. At NTT, we're taking a very consultative approach to figuring out what business problem, what workflow specifically are you trying to address. And then if private 5G makes sense, that could be an enabler. If not, that's okay. But it's important to look at everything through the lens of workflows, business process, ultimately use cases.
So what you are saying is don't start with the technology. Let's look at the business problem. Is it about providing better safety, improving productivity, and we work backward from there?
Absolutely. I mean, even we launched private 5G almost 8 months ago at NTT, and we never lead with private 5G in a conversation or a pitch. We always talk about what problem are we looking at, Let's look at holistically the overall environment. And if private 5G makes sense, great. If not, look, we've got other things we can solve the problem with.
I'm going to ask you the hard question now. That we talk about so many technology, but when I talk to the people who runs the business, it's all about business processes. And every time we bring a new technology, we create friction. So how do you think NTT and likes are going to help our customers navigate this challenge of we bring continuously new technologies, but we break business processes?
Yeah, no, so great question. We at NTT partnered with ServiceNow. How many of you know ServiceNow? There's other companies as well, but we partnered with them because we have a very rich capability, system integration capability on ServiceNow. But the thing we were looking at is ultimately factories, manufacturing plants, hospitals, warehouses, they're all trying to digitize their workflows.
You're right.
And if you address that problem and help them build the right workflows and digitize them, and then you need the right infrastructure underneath it. You need to have a full edge to cloud architecture, not just edge, but all the way to the cloud. And I think that's how we view the world.
Thank you, Shahid. Thank you for the partnership, but more importantly, thank you for being here live in Cisco Live. Thank you.
Excellent. Great to.
Vikas, why don't you take us to the close?
Absolutely. Let's do it. So look, I think hopefully in the fast-paced 30 minutes here, what we want to just kind of bring it back together. Look, IoT in the physical world, whether it's in utilities, manufacturing, roadways, public sector environments, has really been used, if we can go to the slide, has really been come of age and is being used to solve the business outcomes that Shahid just talked about. Really, it really starts with cybersecurity, because when you bring these operational and IT environments together, you cannot create more business and risk for our customers, and we need to make sure that that stays safe. You, our customers, have lots of technology choices, but I would encourage you to think about the right tool for the right job, whether it's Wi-Fi, private 5G, LoRa, Curb, like there's lots of choices, but it really starts with the use case and the outcome that you're trying to do. And we are here at Cisco to help you. We have a broad team of our sales and SE experts that can work with our customers to make sure that we are helping you navigate this journey and be successful. So again, thank you for being part of Cisco Live, and thank you for being here with us today. Take care.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast stage. My name is Rob Boyd, and I'm joined by one of my 3 favorite hosts, because I just don't want to play favorites. How you doing, Lauren?
I am doing well, Rob. I know I'm a favorite,
pink.
though, so I won't tell anybody, though. It's between us.
No, just between us. Absolutely. So a couple of quick things to make sure everybody stays on track. Hashtag Cisco Live, please keep up the momentum. Yes, there are contests or all kinds of things to engage in, but regardless, use it to find people, use it to comment and encourage others, but also use it just to stay in touch. Our audience is huge. It's all around the world. But next, we're going to be talking about APIs and the importance of the developer community and how we continue to kind of encourage that. Any thoughts as an engineering manager yourself? Is that an area, is that the right place to be for Cisco?
Absolutely, and to see us change and evolve over the years. I've been at Cisco, again, almost 8.5 years, and there's so much emphasis on it everywhere. So it's there in all solutions, it's innate. When you get a solution, you're going to have API capabilities, because we realize how important it is.
Yeah. See, this is so unfair. You're beautiful and intelligent, and then people look at me and they go, I hope he's smart. We're just not completely sure, but that's why I like working with you as well. But guys, this is an awesome stuff. This is, to me, the next session is about what we're doing as we move on from how DevNet early days, but into fully embracing the open culture of the APIs and how we structure this. Let's check out the iTalk right now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vijay, and I'm here to talk about the power of yet. Think about the first cell phone. I'm sure it didn't look anything like what you have in your pockets right now. But at the time, it was revolutionary. Now, this thing that you have in your pockets is not just a phone anymore, is it? is a phone, a computer, a TV, a clock, a radio, a camera, an assistant, and so much more. Let's welcome Frida. Frida is a really busy person, and she would like to open up a bank account. Before this transformation happened, she would actually have to call up the bank, drive up to it on the day of the appointment, talk to a person, horror of horrors, talk to multiple people, fill out some paperwork, wait a few days, and then she would get her bank account created. Now all she needs to do is to whip out her phone, tap with a few fingers, and voila, the bank account is created. The entire experience has transformed, but it took a whole set of technologies to make this happen, from the network, to compute, to the device, to the operating system, to the UX, the interfaces. You don't have a keyboard and a mouse anymore, to the way apps are developed, deployed, and consumed. All of that to make that magic happen. Now, we are at the cusp of yet another transformation, the evolution from the API and app economy to the experience economy. The experience economy will be defined by immersive experience across our physical, augmented, and multiple virtual realities. These will be driven by well-known B2C use cases that you might be familiar with, such as social, whether it's fashion or travel, entertainment, gaming, or concerts, as well as transformational B2B use cases such as digital twins for healthcare and finance, or simulations for manufacturing and design, as well as collaboration and education to power a future of work. Imagine what Frida's banking experience could look like in this new world. Unfortunately, the tech stack to enable this experience for Frida isn't there yet. Just like the previous transformation, we need to solve for a whole slew of familiar problem spaces, such as the network for volumetric data, computing, preferably edge computing, the operating system, the device, the UX, the interfaces you can't tap anymore, as well as the way apps are developed, deployed, and consumed. But there are also a whole set of new use cases that we need to solve for, or problem spaces. For example, persistent identities across our avatar and real selves, spatial indexing and spatial protocols, and the interoperability between all of these metaverses and experience economies, to driving security, ethical AI, and responsible AI for the safety and well-being of our multiple digital identities. That's where we come in. We're Cisco's emerging tech and incubation, and we are solely focused on what's yet to come. We want to solve the hard problems one step at a time, starting with solving for the experience economy that allows for us to not be looking at a device, but be actually immersed in the device, to thinking about the security and safety of our digital identities in this new future, and imagining that the next generation of quantum internet is going to carry both classical as well as quantum information in the same packet, to realizing that all modern applications are going to run over the wide open internet, and to solve for the challenges that that poses. With that focus, we are leaning towards what's yet to be the future of modern apps and edge-native computing, because that's step number one to solving for the experience economy. To enable modern applications, we need to allow developers to pick and choose the APIs that they need from any provider, internal or external, discover them, connect them, deploy them, scale them out, scale them back, lifecycle manage them, and we call that app connectivity. As we just saw, all modern applications are going to run over the wide open internet. What is perimeter security in that world? We really need to secure API to API interactions as well as API to data object interactions. That's app security. Finally, if something does go south, and you know that will, we need API and app level observability to ensure that your SLO budgets are kept intact. And these capabilities should be available to you wherever you are in your cloud journey. You might be solely focused on a singular public cloud, like an AWS or a Google or an Azure. Or you could have a multi-cloud application architecture that spans public cloud, on-prem assets, edge assets, as well as SaaS APIs. But enabling the experience economy is also synonymous with managing large data sets. These data sets are being created close to the user, close to the device. And paradoxically, this is exactly where networking, compute, and storage resources are also very scarce. So solving these challenges is going to be key to enabling the experience economy. As we build out these capabilities, we partner deeply with the ecosystem around us. In the last year alone, we have sponsored more than 150 research projects with specific world-class universities and specific faculty to solve some of these challenges with us. We have released and launched, as well as contributed to a whole slew of open source projects in the areas of API and app connectivity, security, and observability, as well as solving for distributed AI and ML and edge native computing. Finally, we have a team, a global team, that works hand in hand with local governments, startups, and customers to co-innovate with us as part of our design partner program. But are distributed systems and edge native computing really the future of the experience economy? Let's hear from Stephen Elliott from IDC and see what he has to say about this.
Business and IT executives now realize that the technology architecture has become their business architecture, one that is application and transaction dependent. Hybrid work and digital business have elevated the need for high-performing applications that deliver great employee and customer experiences. The Cisco ET&I team is involved in several key areas of application modernization, security, and edge that are foundational for modern operating principles that drive business using technology today and in the future. These journeys use applications as their foundation. According to IDC's research, in 2021, there were 195 million logical applications worldwide. By 2025, this will grow to 750 million logical applications. Business success is now being defined by how well organizations develop, manage, and secure application architectures for competitive advantage. These transformations for customers are complex, with a mix of classic and modern, cloud-native, container, and Kubernetes-based approaches. By the end of this year, we will have 3 billion containers deployed worldwide. This will grow to about 6.5 billion by the end of 2025. As enterprises modernize their applications and cloud platforms, securing those applications has never been more important. To help solve these challenges, enterprises are using DevSecOps practices and considering security earlier in the software development lifecycle. Known as shift left practice, this is driving an increase in collaboration across development, operations, SecOps, and infrastructure platform teams, driving tool consolidation strategies while improving a company's security posture. These are hot areas as IT and business leaders recognize applications and APIs are the fabric of modern business and for critical competitive differentiation. Another area of complexity is deploying the same cloud-native applications at the edge. The edge is playing a critical factor in collecting, analyzing, and exchanging data with customers. IoT, AI/ML, supply chain, and 4 and 5G are all major drivers in enterprise interest in the edge. Now, as this slide shows, IDC research indicates that the amount of data generated over the next 5 years is expected to be at least 2.2 times the amount of data generated over the past 10 years, and nearly 3 times the amount of data generated in the previous 5 years. Data growth from 2021 through 2026 represents a CAGR of 21.2%. The operations, management, data governance and compliance, rendering, security, and caching are all important edge considerations. In summary, IDC sees that modernizing applications and edge are the key frontier and transformations for many enterprises over the next 3 to 5 years.
3 billion containers by the end of the year, that's staggering, and 6.5 by 2025. Anyway, let's test this hypothesis with a simple feature. Not a full-blown app, but a simple singular feature. Please welcome back Frida, who is now getting familiar using her phone to do all of her banking. But since the COVID pandemic, she has been a little apprehensive about using an ATM to withdraw cash. She would really like for that experience to be touch-free. Is there a way to make the entirety of the ATM cash withdrawal process completely touch-free? Pretty straightforward ask. What she would like to do is locate an ATM, drive up to it, enter the amount that she would like to withdraw on her phone, get authenticated through the phone and the background checks that are happening on the ATM, out pops the cash, and yes, the only thing that she needs to touch is the cash when she picks it up. Simple, seamless, touch-free. Now let's take this a step further. Let's imagine that we have AI algorithms running on the ATM cameras at that location and at every ATM location that the bank owns. And that algorithm is constantly monitoring the surrounding area for safety concerns and constantly rating the ATM's safety score. This score is presented to Frida when she's trying to locate the ATM that she would like to drive up to. Again, pretty straightforward ask. But if you think about the messiness that exists behind making this digital journey possible, it isn't seamless yet. If you think about what a developer has to go through to enable this digital journey, they need to pick and choose APIs, connect them, secure them, measure and observe them across mobile front ends, maybe a singular cloud backend, maybe the customer data resides on a SaaS portal somewhere, transactional systems might be sitting on-prem, maybe even in a mainframe for that matter, and then talking to edge APIs at the branch location to ensure that there is consistency in place when she withdraws the cash. All of these APIs, again, need to be discovered, secured, and observed. This experience becomes even more complicated to deliver at the edge. Essentially, we would like to run a deep learning human behavior analytics or HBA application on the camera at that ATM location. And again, at every ATM location that the bank owns. We would like this HBA app to be simple to manage, deploy, and lifecycle manage around it, so that a bank manager can manage not just this app, but every other application sitting at their location, simply, preferably using a no-code paradigm. This was a bank example. Now you can think about other examples in other verticals, such as automotive, healthcare, retail, and so on and so forth. To enable these scenarios and these digital journeys, we are introducing 3 new SaaS services today. You might have heard a couple of these in the keynote today, in the morning. But these services are Callisti, which is focused on the discoverability, connectivity, and scale-up, scale-down of APIs, no matter where they are, using the Istio service mesh project. Next up is Panoptica, which focuses on API, application, and cloud-native workload security. The third is Telescope, that focuses on API and service layer observability to ensure your SLOs are intact. Finally, we are also introducing Great Bear. This is a SaaS application for simple, scalable edge ops, and it's available to you for co-innovation via the Design Partner Program. Let's dive a little bit deeper into all of these capabilities, and for that, I would like to welcome Desi Harvey to the stage. Desi is from ET&I, but she's playing the role of the CIO of the Agile Bank, where Frida has been a customer. Desi?
Thank you, Vijay. It's great to be here today. So we talked a little bit about Frida and her experience, but I want to introduce to you a new customer, Martin. So Martin's in San Francisco. He's looking to get some cash for his weekend activities. So he takes a look at his phone, tries to locate a safe nearby ATM. So he drives over to the Pine Street branch, where your Edge AI algorithm is used with the cameras that are there to continuously monitor the area for anomalous activity and ensure a safe location. So during his process, Martin parks his car, opens his phone, signs into his application, requests his withdrawal, and heads over to the ATM, all from the comfort of his car. He gets up to the ATM, where the camera's looking at him, he's NFC authenticated, and from there, he's able to withdraw his $500. Now, this seems very modern and exciting, but as you see, it's been a simple, easy, and quick opportunity for him to get this money out. However, what I'm curious is if you could give me a little bit of information about what's happened behind the scenes to ensure this safe experience for Martin.
Absolutely. And I think for that, what we would like to do is first figure out how the ATM branch is prepped to enable this experience for Martin. And for that, what the branch manager would like to do at the Pine Street branch is install two applications. The first one is for user authentication using NFC and cameras, and the second one is the Human Behavior Analytics, or HBA app, to ensure the safety of that ATM location and score that safety rating for the ATM. So for that, we launched Great Bear, which is the SaaS portal for simple, scalable edge ops. And as you can see, it comes up with an app store, and those are the two apps that the branch manager would like to deploy. He zooms in into San Francisco, picks the Pine Street location, and goes ahead and wants to deploy an application. All of these applications in the App Store are vetted by IT, so they are safe and secure. Picks the HB app, and with one click of the button is able to deploy it at the ATM location. He does the same thing with the NFC user authentication app, goes to the App Store, picks the user authentication app, and you'll see in a minute, it's a simple one-click deploy, and it's actually deployed at the Pine Street location. Seamless and simple.
Yeah, I've actually had several branch managers who can use this and installed it without the help of IT. But can you tell me a little bit more about what's happening behind the scenes of the applications?
Absolutely. And so now since these applications have been installed, let's take a look at the rest of the digital journey. And for that, we would first like to bring up the Callisti screen. Callisti is our service mesh manager, and it gives you a bird's eye view of every microservice that's running behind that digital experience that is enabling Martin to do a touch-free cash withdrawal. In this view, you'll see that the whole digital experience is a multi-cloud deployment. On the bottom right is a set of microservices that deal with the location of the ATM and the safety rating of the ATM. And those are running on EKS on AWS. The rest of the digital journey is actually running on Google Cloud. So you'll see that Martin starts from the bottom right and then moves to the top as he goes through this entire digital journey. Also, what you would notice is that each microservice is being represented by a green bubble. That tells you that these services are up and healthy. They'll turn red if something goes wrong. The link between those microservices will give you the average request per second rate of flow between those microservices. And so, for example, you would see that between the locator service and the customer accounts, we have an average rate of 0, because that's really a low bandwidth control plane link at layer 7 at HTTPS. So let's start with Martin's journey through this entire example. He starts from the bottom right, which is the ATM location, moves up to the top, he's located it, and then we are getting into customer accounts to authenticate Martin's bank account.
Well, what does a red circle identify?
That is a good question. So something definitely is going wrong. And what you see is that the rate of requests per second between the locator and the customer accounts, which is supposed to be on average 0, has shot up to 70. And that is causing the accounts microservice to get overwhelmed. And that's causing it to turn red in terms of SLOs. So something definitely is amiss in this entire picture. To dig deeper, let's figure out what's going on, because at the Callisti layer, you can only see what's going wrong at the SLO level. But if you want to dig deeper and look at the payload, we will launch Telescope for that, which is our observability tool. Think of it as a Wireshark for all of your layer 7 traffic. And it has powerful search capabilities. In this case, the search was pretty straightforward. We used the locator service. We come to that, we see the familiar service view. We see that link between locator and customer accounts turning red. We double click on that, and we can look at the payload. When we look at the payload, we find something really interesting. We find that the error code is 403 or forbidden. And the payload is carrying a user ID of unknown and a bank ID, which is quite bogus. So something fishy is really going on.
Yeah, this is extremely concerning. Does this mean that we have a security attack happening?
This possibly is a security attack happening because especially if you look at the forbidden error code and the user ID and the branch ID, that's not normal. That's not something that you would expect to happen. So to figure out whether there is a security attack and what can we do about it, let's launch Panoptica, which is the security, API security and application security tool. So launching Panoptica, we will be thrown into the same familiar service level view. We will see all of these services, the locator and the accounts, and how they're connected at the flow level. But we also see the spurious connection between locator and an unknown API provider from example.com. And that's actually what we're getting alerted on within Panoptica, because the policies in your bank have been set up to alert on an unknown API. So if you look at that, that's what Panoptica is doing. So we'll go back and we'll see what the hell is going on. And suddenly we'll see the locator and the accounts also being alerted on. So there is somebody trying to enter from example.com, hacking into ATM locator, and then trying to hack into customer accounts. And that's why we're getting that alert. Digging in deeper, we can find out what the potential attack vector could be. And on this screen, we'll find out that it's a potential broken object level authorization or a broken function level authorization attack that might be going on. These are pretty serious API attack vectors. And we should be trapping them, and we see that Panoptica is actually trapping them.
So now that we've identified this, what can we do about it?
So your organization has set these policies where we actually alert on unknown API access as well as BOLA and BFLA attacks. But we would ideally like to block them, so we can just do that by a simple click of the button where we can change that alert to a block. And mind you, this is not blocking the entire traffic flow. It's only blocking those suspicious flows. So that's what we see here. Those suspicious flows have now been blocked, which actually should enable that customer account service to actually turn green and allow Martin to proceed safely. And we can see that in Callisti, where we see the customer accounts is actually green now. The rate of requests has gone back to an average of 0. Everything is hunky-dory.
Wow, this is fantastic, Vijay. I really appreciate you building these applications to work together to create such a seamless experience for Martin and all of my customers. And he clearly is able to get off on his weekend journey in San Francisco. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Desi. So as you've seen, we would like you to lean with us into what's yet to be the future of modern apps and edge-native computing, because that is going to power the experience economy. We are not intimidated by yet. We actually seek it out. We are Cisco ET&I, and we are betting on what's yet to come. If you want to see what's behind all of the bets we are making, please point your cameras to the QR code. That'll take you to eti.cisco.com, where you can learn a lot more about these products, but also a lot about the research and the technologies that we are working on to power these products. You can try these products out for free by going to those URLs. Please follow us at Cisco Emerge on Twitter. And check us out at booth 1274. There will be stickers. So check us out. Thank you.
And welcome back. That was a wonderful innovation talk on the power of yet. We're back here in the studios, and I'm joined today with the one and only Annie Murphy. How are you doing?
Hey, Alex. How you doing? Day 3, big day, wrap up. There's going to be a big party tonight. Looking forward to that. I think up next we have another innovation talk with my new friend, Grace Francisco, she's the VP of Developer Strategy and Experience, and I had a really great time to chat with her. It's her first Cisco Live ever. She just started last year during pandemic, and it's like great to like be out here in the crowds. This is really awesome because she's never seen this before. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely new.
Like really great. I think that this entire experience is basically new for everybody, whether you've been here for 20 years or 20 days, because it's our first time back in person.
Exactly. And for those who are perhaps experiencing Cisco Live, whether in person for the first time or perhaps you have not experienced Cisco Live at all and or you're tuning in online digitally, you can always check out our digital showcase, which is located right over here. We have our in-person showcase, and you can go online to our digital showcase where we have a whole 3D rendering where you can check out all the different hybrid work experiences and go through all the demos and videos and content that we're actually demoing for in-person attendees here at Cisco Live. It seems like there's tons of learning opportunities here at Cisco.
Yeah, there's a lot of live demos out here. My personal favorite demo was the hologram demo for the WebEx space in terms of kind of like our meetings into the future, which is really amazing. What was your favorite demo on the floor so far?
I'm all about the hybrid workspaces, so everything they can demo with the Cisco DNA Center. I totally love DevNet, and in fact, we actually have Lauren here in the DevNet zone to tell us more about what's going on there. Lauren, what's going on?
I am over here super excited in the DevNet zone, like you just said, with Eric Thiel, Director of Developer Experience. Eric, can you tell me what's new with Developer and DevNet this year?
Absolutely. This year, we really wanted to focus on extending the event and the experience itself to the external attendees as well. So we've got things like, we've got new format digital learning labs in our workshops where people can really get immersively hands-on time with the different platforms. We've got behind us the theater, we've got multiple classrooms. We've been having a great number of people coming through, checking out some of the fun stuff like our autonomous IndyCar.
Oh wow, I've heard a lot about that. Oh my gosh.
192.2 miles an hour set the land speed record for autonomous vehicles. It is amazing.
Wow.
And it's got Cisco technology built in, which is even cooler. You can peek under the covers if you come take a look.
I'm at a loss of words, and I don't usually, that's not normal for me. I usually rarely lose a word. Oh my God, Eric, it's so incredible talking to you. You've inspired me to get some of this same bling that you have. I got to do better next year. Everyone hold me accountable. And thank you so much, Eric. I'm so excited because I got two people over here. I also have Alfonso. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you. Alfonso.
Hey, nice
Alfonso
to see
is a software engineer, so we're hearing from the developer community here at Cisco, which I'm super excited about. Tell us a little bit more about the online experience that Eric talks to us about.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, the learning doesn't end here. The learning around DevNet doesn't end with this event. We have this super powerful platform in developer.cisco.com. And there we have the learning labs.
And that's free, right?
Yes, absolutely. And you can get there and take a look at all these amazing technologies that we have. And at your own pace, these are, you know, like step-by-step labs that you can get hands-on experience. It will track your progress. And yes, it's not only about Cisco technologies, but also how to get started one-on-one, programming, coding, APIs, you name it. It's the place to go.
Wow, I'm super inspired, and guys, I've recently got my DevNet certificate, and I highly recommend developer.cisco.com because it's the reason I got certified. Thank you so much, Alfonso, as well, and I am handing it back over to the studio.
Awesome, thank you, Lauren. And for those folks at home and viewing remotely, you can also check out the DevNet Zone and actually do some live DevNet labs on your own pace. That you can be able to do, which is awesome as well. So you can have that participation within the DevNet zone from wherever you are. So, Annie, can you tell us a little bit more about your new friend, Grace Francisco? How was that?
Yeah, Grace Francisco, she is the VP of Developer Relations and Strategy and Experience. She's going to be talking about an Inclusive Future program up next here in the Innovation Theater. She'll be joined by Dr. Reina L. Kolabai, I hope I'm saying that correctly, an AI thought leader. And here
Awesome.
we go into the Innovation Theater. Let's hear what they have to say about DevOps as well as the future of inclusivity.
Here we are, living on the edge.
All right, thank you, Toby, for that great introduction.
And welcome, everyone, to Living on the Edge. And what a beautiful day and lost wages, as I like to call it. And it's so nice and warm. I'm going to be defrosting after this session. I'm Grace Francisco. I am the Vice President of Developer Relations Strategy and Experience here at Cisco. And I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to talk with you today about the cultural and technological edge that we, as developers, find ourselves living on. As we work and move closer and closer to this edge, we see a new frontier before us. Being on the edge allows us to see that frontier, a frontier that is expansive and full of change. With those changes comes opportunities for innovation. Some might think that this is the first time in history that this opportunity has presented itself. In reality, for those of us fortunate enough to be working with technology and innovation, we're forward-thinking, and there are many historical examples of technical folks who have been living on the edge and staring into the expansiveness of this new frontier. Ada Lovelace, for example. Ada Lovelace worked on the design of the analytical engine in the mid-1800s. This is a long time ago, mid-1800s, and many argue wrote the first computer program. It was an algorithm designed for the unbuilt analytical engine to compute Bernoulli numbers. Imagine standing so far on the edge and staring to the frontier that you wrote an algorithm for a device that did not exist yet. And yet, as we current-day developers and leaders in technology find ourselves in similar situation, living on the edge of a new frontier that brings together developers and operations. That brings together applications and network insights in a way that only Cisco can provide. Standing on this edge at this time, looking at the frontier before us, calls for innovation. Innovation in the way we think, innovation in how we as individuals, teams, and organizations work together, and innovation in what we build. This is where developers come in. Developers have been, currently, and will continue to be a vital part of the success of any business and industry. As we step into the frontier of innovation, at Cisco, we understand the challenges you face. With every innovation, we live with increasing complexity with multiple cloud providers and the ongoing need to also build on-prem and to the edge. Holistic and shared visibility across these scenarios of the vulnerabilities, performance, and user journeys across developers and ops is still an area to bridge together with the right tools and the right processes. Now, some of you may be thinking, Cisco supplies me with great hardware. Why are we talking about software? Cisco is actually one of the largest software companies in the world. We have been building software for some time, and many of our hardware offerings include a platform with APIs to automate the management and maintenance of those products. We are heavily investing in solutions and platforms specifically for developers, and with what we are investing, growing and nurturing that developer community. As Cisco stands with you at the edge of this frontier of innovation, I'm honored to be leading our developer relations team. And I've worked in many roles and companies throughout my long career now in tech. And I've frequently been on that edge of innovation myself. I've had to travel into that frontier and make solutions where the technology wasn't quite there yet. So as an example, while I worked at IBM many, many years ago, I developed a solution which brought data and dynamic pages to the web way back in the 90s. This was in a time frame where everything in the web was static, and there was no Google. You had to know the URL that you were going to. I know some of you are thinking, what did she say? Everything was static? Yes, they were static pages. And I had to develop a solution which took data and created dynamic pages on the web from basically a database application. And this database application had forms and reports that were built for a Windows desktop environment. And back then, HTML, by the way, HTML did not allow you to lay things out in a very specific way. There were no XY coordinates, so I had to build these crazy heuristics to actually make that happen. So I spent that time out in that frontier and looking far beyond what was available in that stack that didn't really allow for dynamic pages at that time. Cisco's developer relations team is full of a bunch of talented people. We're bringing our knowledge and skills to the edge of innovation as well and stepping out into the frontier with other teams within Cisco while keeping an ear to the community, discovering the needs of you, our customers, and partners. We're here to unify network, infrastructure, and enterprise developers together in the Cisco platform. This new frontier we're stepping into includes a team culture aspect. Developers are being asked to do more and do it faster with fewer resources. As developers, it's no longer accessible to throw things over the wall to other teams. Things like security and network optimization now are being shifted as a shared responsibility to our teams. This merging of developer and traditional operational tasks needs some streamlining. However, what was once a ops problem or developer problem is now an entire organization's problem when something goes wrong. This is where Cisco is uniquely positioned to guide us the way into this frontier of innovation. It will require us to start to work and think differently and reimagine the applications we build. What do I mean by Cisco being uniquely positioned to lead us into this frontier? With our long history and leadership of being the infrastructure, the backbone of the web and the internet, we have the knowledge needed as we head out onto this new journey. This new journey, however, is not for developers alone, which is one of the reasons that you'll want Cisco to be in the journey with you. Our experience working with ops professionals allows us to be a bridge between developers and ops. We have always had a large set of tools dedicated to operations. The journey we are on now into the new frontier of development requires that we start to think more inclusively about the applications we work on. We need to bring our ops and developer colleagues together on this journey. Only Cisco has the experience and expertise to build these bridges, the cultural bridges needed to speak the language of ops and developer to break down the existing silos and having both parties at the table. There's also a technology bridge that needs to be built, and Cisco is a bridge to possible here. We've been and continue to build solutions and platforms for both ops professionals and developers. And in this new frontier, solutions and platforms will need to be used by multiple teams to effectively navigate and leverage the scenarios in multi-cloud and hybrid work. Now, this world is rapidly shifting to a cloud-native stack, and developers are, of course, on that edge of that frontier. Observability for them needs to be an enablement tool, not just a passive viewing tool. Telescope here takes observability to that next level and allows active debugging. It analyzes request flows with payloads, metrics, and events to find performance bottlenecks and exceptions in distributed applications across the entire development cycle. And as we stand on the edge of a frontier of innovation, edge devices are also something Cisco is investing in. This is a really edgy area for us. See what I just did there? Seriously though, working on the edge with compute, AI, ML, storage sensors, and more requires a robust network infrastructure to support it. We're not only building devices, but entire solutions and platforms to support this area of innovation. Here at Cisco Live, you want to come to the DevNet zone because we have a great example of this with the fastest autonomous vehicle in our space. And it goes 192.2, yes, it's very specific, 192.2 miles per hour. It broke a world record. This has wireless technology and an industrial solution for our car. So definitely come and check this out. Now, in a world with constant threat of cyber attacks and application exploits, security must become a core concern for developers in their day-to-day work. Shift-left security is the concept that brings security to the forefront for developers and integrating this as part of their natural flow of their work, like in their IDE, like in their CI/CD pipeline. No longer can businesses continue to afford to reactively address security issues. We must bring this forward earlier in the application lifecycle. As we start to think about security for applications and network infrastructure, many of us get overwhelmed by the complexities that exist with making changes or scaling our applications and networks. As more and more applications move into the cloud and are relying on a variety of APIs, security must be a top-of-mind concern. So, why is this a big deal? APIs have seen a huge increase in usage in the last several years. In the 19th Developer Economics Survey released by SlashData recently, nearly 90% of developers used third-party external APIs, and another 22% stated they use private or internal APIs. APIs are a core and important part of the developer's world. However, as we've seen too frequently in the news, one recent example being the Log4j issue from last December, relying on APIs can cause problems. As we move more and more into developing connected applications, applications that rely more and more on APIs interwoven with each other and other applications, the more challenging it becomes to know what's actually going on in those applications under the hood. Using external APIs opens up all sorts of potential quality issues. Are you using APIs that match the open API specifications? Do they match your own company's standards? Do they match, there are many APIs to choose from which do the same or similar tasks. Which one do you pick from? But not all APIs are created equally. Some don't have standard items that make APIs that level of quality that we all need. And do they provide change logs, reference documentation, versioning, security? Are they backwards compatible? Are they consistent with the API contract that's published? We can talk about the challenges of APIs for a long time. It boils down to the fact that API quality is a big concern across the entire enterprise. This is where Cisco helps to shift these developer concerns to the left and benefits enterprise application developers and SecOps in a way that only Cisco can. The industry has established standards for APIs that include things like resiliency, robustness, security, and discoverability, as well as consistency. But how do you tell if an API you're using meets these standards? When looking at APIs to bring in and use in your applications, do they meet the quality standards that you're expecting? Are they meeting the specifications your organization requires? Developer Relations is pleased to announce a preview of our work we've been doing to tackle some of the challenges we just talked about. From compliance to API standards to the completeness of API documentation, API quality is an industry challenge for all of us. The Cisco Developer Relations team, which we often call DevRel, our team hears challenges loud and clear around this area. That's why the team is focused on improving and addressing the API experience for our partners and developer community. Today, we are previewing an open source tool called APIX Manager developed by the Cisco Developer Relations team. We bring the solution right into the IDE as an extension. This extension is initially for VS Code, a very popular IDE, and we'll continue to add other extensions over time. This allows developers to monitor APIs they're using in their application right where they can do their work every single day. APIX Manager integrates with another open source solution we have released called API Clarity. That provides runtime analysis that checks against the open API spec, as well as determining if the APIs are consistent with documentation. APIX Manager uses linters, which can check against a REST style compliance and can also be customized against your own company's guidelines, along with checking for inclusive language. The future integration with Panoptica, which will enable security checks for APIs, allows you to leverage the code, and with that, APIX Manager enables shift left of the security and observability right into the domain of the developer. APIX Manager also provides a browser-based dashboard which acts as a single source of truth for both SecOps and developers to share a single pane of glass as they view and monitor APIs in use in the application. As issues arise, and I say as issues arise because issues are going to happen, this provides a place of clarity and discussion on the quality and security of APIs published and consumed. This shared understanding is breaking down the walls and silos of teams, which can be counterproductive, especially when you're in the middle of chasing down potential issues. Now, I can talk endlessly and endlessly about the challenges and opportunities of APIs, but there's nothing better than a demo walkthrough. So here, I'm going to invite my colleague, Cowboy Ken Alger, to show you APIX Manager in action. Ken?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Howdy, y'all. So let's imagine here that we have a web app, right? And this is a very familiar thing for most of us. So it's a little sample application in this case of a DevRel store. We see it has a catalog that has various products. There's login, you register. If there's going to be products, you probably have a cart and some payment system. Now, traditionally, years ago, we built this in a very monolithic sort of model where we do it all ourselves. In today's world, though, we're using things like containers and microservices and leveraging APIs. So this is where API Manager comes in. So here we see each of these boxes are different microservices. And here we can click on our DevRel store, and we see, just like I was mentioning, kind of how that application was broken up. We have one for catalog and cart and payment, users, and orders. And if we click in here into our catalog demo API, we get kind of a timeline of the various releases that we have. And we can look here at a previous release and say, hey, the score was at 75 at one point. We made some changes, and it went up to 100. So that's awesome. And then somebody came along and did some more changes, and the score dropped. So, we should probably look at that, see what happened. So we can compare those two releases. So we'll choose that first one, the second one, and then we get this comparison. We can go down here directly into a code diff and see right in the code where those changes were made that created some problems. Then we can say, okay, well, we want to go in and see a more full report. And this is that single pane of glass that both the SecOps and the developers can share and look at. So we see here, we have these red errors, and it's showing 401 and 403 errors around authentication and authorization. A whole bunch of security warnings here around things that aren't defined. And we also have this inclusive language, and we can sort strictly by that very easily. So this inclusive language is calling out the fact that we have the term blacklist or whitelist someplace in our code, and that might be insensitive and something that we want to change. So this is fantastic for that shared pane of glass, but developers use CI/CD pipelines, and you can implement this right inside GitHub with GitHub Actions and get a report right inside there as you're deploying your code that, hey, there's some potential issues. As Grace was mentioning, developers live within their IDE. This provides a great shared resource for our SecOps and our developer colleagues, But what about just our day-to-day inside the IDE? So here inside VS Code, we're again looking at the catalog, and we can see all these potential issues. We go in here and we see, oh, there's a zombie API. And sure enough, that API was deprecated. So this really helps to shift left that problem of security and quality to the developer. And then finally here, if we go back over here, having all this really helps to shift back to the right, the operational readiness of your APIs and their quality. So thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your time here at Cisco Live, and we'll go back to Grace.
All right. So if you're all interested in that APIX manager and signing up for us to let you know when it's ready for you to try out, definitely check out this QR code. All right, next. All right, so APIX manager will be the thing that helps you improve that API quality and security, and that will be integrated as part of the developer's day-to-day work. As we all strive to innovate faster in this new frontier, we need to keep quality and security top of mind in this API world we're continually operating in. Cisco provides APIs in many of our products, hundreds of different APIs like Meraki, App Dynamics, ThousandEyes, and Cisco Intersight to Nexus Dashboard, Sd-Wan, WebEx, and lots more. We provide the opportunity to leverage programmability and automation in your infrastructure to provide you, your company, and your customers more performant, reliable, and secure applications. I know many of you have been leveraging the power of these APIs to tap into the power of our hardware. However, we're really still at the beginning of that journey, on the edge of the frontier. A recent stat showed that we're really only in single-digit percentage adoption of automation practices, but moving rapidly into double digits. We encourage you to be on the edge with us on that adoption, as that creates a level of business agility that is needed no matter what industry you're in. Come learn more about that and the automation opportunities in our DevNet zone while you're here this week. And one announcement we had a little earlier today, we're really focused on that cultural transformation, and my team spent some time actually developing a 5-week content series around diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is all done in terms of Agile, and so as you deploy these kinds of cultural transformations and really focusing on diversity, which is something that really creates a much more successful team, I encourage you to download this content series and apply. There's a lot of best practices and guidance here for you to leverage. It's going to be in GitHub starting today, so I encourage you to check that out. And you've heard me talk about open source quite a few times now, and Cisco itself is going through this transformation to embrace open source, to foster and nurture innovation and build community and to reach developers. This afternoon, I've talked about bringing together some of the things that developers and operations will have to do together as we go out beyond the edge of this and into this innovative frontier. Just as those before us, like Ada Lovelace, we will be pioneering the way for others. Cisco is in a unique position to take the lead in helping developers with solutions as we head out on this journey together. I'd encourage you to come by and learn more about what we've been covering today by visiting the DevNet Zone while you're here at Cisco Live. There you can talk with members of developer relations team about Cisco working side by side and empowering developers on this journey. You can get hands-on with a variety of Cisco technologies like Meraki, SecureX, and WebEx, and IoT, along with open source solutions like API Clarity. We'll have experts on hand that you can ask about any of our technologies in the DevNet Zone. Also, make sure you check out our online resources, which has sandboxes and learning labs, all hands-on things on developer.cisco.com. That's available to you all year round. And also, make sure to check out session DevNet 2092, API Design First, not just another pretty interface. And with that, thank you for coming. I know there's happy hour already going on, so I appreciate you all coming here instead before you go and catch that beer. I hope you all had a great rest of your, hope you have a great rest of today and this week, and I look forward to getting your feedback. Thank you. Cheers.
Hi everyone and welcome back, and that was the Innovation Talk on Life on the Edge. I feel like I've been on the edge of my seat all day as we go to all these different inspiring sessions and speakers. If you feel just as inspired that you want to get your hands dirty, want to get hands-on experience working with a lot of these technologies that all these awesome developers have their hands on, well, from anywhere, you can be able to log on and go to our digital hands-on labs. They're about 3 to 4 hours long. You can mess with different Cisco solutions and products and see what it takes to implement all the different Cisco capabilities and solutions that we have to offer. So over at the Nerve Truck, we have Annie that's going to give us a quick tour of exactly what this Nerve Truck is all about and how it responds to different emergencies around the world. Annie, what's going on?
Hey Alex, I'm over here at the Nerve Truck 2.0, fully updated. My favorite part so far has been this great step. Check this out when I close this door. Over here next to me, I've got Matt Wood from the Cisco Crisis Response Team. Give us a quick hit on all the new updates that we have. We know that this has been a flagship vehicle for Cisco's Crisis Response Team for a number of years, but now we've got the Nerve 2.0 truck. Why don't we walk over here and give us a kind of quick walkover of what's going on?
Sounds great. Thanks for stopping by, Annie. So yeah, this is the Nerve 2.0, Cisco's new flagship network emergency response vehicle. Brand new, whopping 3 days old. Here in the new vehicle, we have a completely updated networking stack. We're now using a full Meraki stack going forward.
Completely cloud managed.
All completely cloud managed. In conjunction with Cisco's sustainability efforts, the new vehicle has a Nomad GCS's never down system in it. And so with that, we can fully run our vehicle for 8 to 12 hours just on battery power without ever having to turn on our generator. And so that is contributing to lower greenhouse emissions, no carbon offset, and without having to turn the generator on, that is 8 hours of us not spewing stuff into the atmosphere. So it's a great ability to be able to kind of help with Cisco's sustainability efforts.
That's awesome. So what happened to all of the Nerve 1.0 trucks?
So we had 2 Nerve OG trucks in San Jose and RTP. We actually donated those to a couple of nonprofits. So the IEEE Foundation turned one of the Nerve trucks into their new MOVE vehicle. And ITDRC, the Information Technology Disaster Resource Center, acquired the San Jose Nerve and is now one of their emergency response vehicles.
All right, so we used to be called Cisco Attack Ops, and then you've mentioned that it was rebranded into the Crisis Response Team. Right. So can you give me a reason, or kind of give me the story behind that, what the reason for that was?
Sure, so about 2 years ago, Tactical Operations, or TAC Ops, moved into Cisco's Corporate Affairs organization. And with that, we've rebranded to Cisco Crisis Response, because now incorporated with our team, not only does our team do the on-the-ground tactical and installation deployments, but also our team handles all of Cisco's donation of money and equipment in kind to our nonprofit and NGO partners.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt, for speaking with us. If you're down here, take a look, come down to the Nerve 2.0 truck. We're going to go back in studio to Alex. All right, Alex, here you go.
Thanks, Annie. Yes, so that was the Nerve truck, which acts as that central nervous system to all the different emergency responses that Cisco goes to, so that police, fire, ambulance, communications can all make sure they can all communicate with each other. Rob, you had a chance to tour the Nerve truck as well.
I did, I was so happy. So they had an international before, Nerve Truck 1.0. This 2.0 is a Ford F550 full diesel turbo, but it's the generator, the electricity they have in this thing is incredible. It's better than, I have the electrical hybrid, I have the Ford hybrid, not near as powerful as that thing. That thing is a beast, it's massive, it's got much better network than my truck, I love it.
And I wonder how fast these vehicles can go, because I bet not as fast as these next vehicles. Because next, we're going to be going over to Javid Khan and Edward Greed from Formula One Racing, and they're going to be talking about the McLaren racing team.
Thank you for joining. How cool is it to be back here live on stage? I came here a little earlier and I saw a big crowd outside and got excited. And somebody told me, oh, it's Chuck, you're following Chuck and Jackie. So I was like, okay, that's why everybody's over here. But I've brought my own celebrity guest with me. Any Formula One fans over here? We're gonna have Ed Green from McLaren Racing join us here shortly. But one kind of cautionary tale, I'm not going to take any supply chain questions. I'm going to focus on hybrid workspaces. So some housekeeping here. We're going to continue using Slido. Those of you familiar with F1, jump on the Slido. We've got a set of questions there. We'll show you the results along the way. It's 3 questions out there, and we'll share that using Slido. Slido, by the way, is part of the WebEx suite that we've shipped last year. Now, before I bring up Ed, let's talk a little bit about hybrid work. Now, we all remember March 2020, working from an office became working from home in an instant. And then more recently, as offices have started to open up, we've all tried to pivot to seeing colleagues in person. But you know what? The world has changed. It's changed forever. How we work has changed forever. Hybrid is the new normal. But we should also acknowledge that hybrid work is both different and way, way harder than how we worked the last couple of years. We actually know this because we've started to see new challenges emerge. When you go from mostly remote employees to a mix of remote and in-person employees, your meetings actually start to look something like this. Right? So if you're remote, you can't really tell if those 5 people in the conference room, are they paying attention? And guess what happens when 2 of them stand up and start to whiteboard? You get completely left out of those conversations. And as people start to get back into the office, they must get experiences that are better than when they were working at home. Otherwise, they're not going to come back. And then video usage before 2019 was minimal. What's going to happen when you have, let's say, 100 employees back in the office, all jumping on video? Is your network ready? And you've gone from 50 to 60 offices to 50 to 60,000 remote offices, all of them connecting to third-party clouds. How do you secure and manage your hybrid work experience? We believe that seamless and secure experiences in this new world are going to require new solutions. Your collaboration software, your network, and your hardware will need to work seamlessly together. And that is what we are focused on here at Cisco. And throughout the next few days, you'll hear us talk about 3 main things. How we are reimagining workspaces. We've created a new WebEx suite purpose-built for flexible work styles. And how Cisco security and manageability can help you deliver those hybrid work experiences. So let me touch upon those a little bit. Firstly, we've all joined meetings from all of these locations at some point. And over the last 12 months, we've completely redone our hardware portfolio and our software to enable working from these workspaces. We've reimagined these workspaces. We also interact with each other in many different ways. And not all of these interactions are equal. They all require different levels of preparation and engagement. So my 10-person board meeting is very different from my 10-person team meeting. Stakes are way higher. My 10-person team meeting is also very different from a 5,000-person all-hands. And then there are events like this. We've got in-person participants and remote participants during the event and after the event. And that is why we've been working on packing the WebEx suite with a new set of tools that go beyond just meetings and calling to support all of these interactions. They're all included in the new WebEx suite. And then lastly, we provide complete visibility and manageability for your hybrid work experiences. It starts with the WebEx Control Hub, which is a central place to manage all of your collaboration experiences, your software, your hardware, your meetings, all in one place. Secondly, the Meraki dashboard provides administrators with a browser-based monitoring and configuration of Meraki devices and services, whether it's the home office or the branch office or your office. And then we've integrated DNA spaces into your ecosystem. So it gives your facilities team with information about occupancy levels, space utilization, so they can manage their spaces. And finally, most recently, we've integrated Thousand Eyes. And that gives you unparalleled visibility into your network so you can troubleshoot your hybrid work experiences. This is the new hybrid world. The tools you're going to need are going to be dramatically different from what you're used to. So let me first start by showing you a video on how one of our partners and customers, McLaren Racing, adapted to this new hybrid world, and then we'll invite Ed on stage and have a conversation. So let's roll the video.
Making some of the world's fastest cars has evolved dramatically. Today, the McLaren F1 team uses WebEx to collaborate in entirely new ways, from the engineers to the drivers, all the way to the track, instantly and securely, to push the boundaries of performance even further. WebEx, driving hybrid work.
So today I'm happy to introduce Ed Green onto stage to talk to us about how McLaren Racing has adapted to the hybrid work transition. Ed? So thank you for joining us all the way from London.
Yeah, pleasure to be back here in Vegas, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it next year when we go and race on the Strip. But yeah, great to be back here at Cisco Live.
I'm really looking forward to that. The 2023 season has a race right here in Vegas.
Yeah,
that's going to be exciting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at McLaren? It seems like a pretty darn cool job. I'm sure many of you would like to have that job.
Yeah, I mean, most days it doesn't feel like a proper job. So my role is I've been with McLaren for 4.5 years. I look after all the commercial technology across the racing team, and that's embedding our technical partners across Formula One, IndyCar, Extreme E, Formula E, and esports. And so I'm responsible for helping embed that technology into the racing team, ultimately to help us go faster out on track. You know, I think we've been doing that for well over 60 years now. We're just about to have our 60th birthday next year, so yeah, it's a pretty exciting time at McLaren.
Now, thanks to the Netflix series, a lot of people have started following Formula One. But tell us a little bit more about McLaren Racing beyond what we've probably seen on TV.
Yeah, Netflix show's awesome, but it's not just Formula One. So we've been doing Formula One for 60 years now, and we've had some amazing drivers in our history, from Lewis Hamilton, Mika Hakkinen, Ayrton Senna, just to name a few, and we've got an awesome lineup at the moment with Lando and Daniel. But it's been more than that over the last 60 years. We've also raced in Can-Am, we've raced in IndyCar, and so really we've had this rich history of racing. And we've been doing things like, you know, IoT before it was called IoT. Since 30 years ago, we've been collecting data on the car. So it's quite handy now people call it IoT, and it just happens that our IoT sensor does 230 miles an hour on a Sunday afternoon. But, you know, in order to do that, you need to, you know, have really good technology at the core of it. We collect in the region of about 1.5 terabytes of data per race weekend. And that means over the course of a season, it's about 11.8 billion data points come off the car, which we have to collect and analyze. So you really need a lot of technology to make that happen, and a lot of data analysis behind the scenes in order to crunch all of that.
That's amazing, yeah. So I know one of the questions we had, and I think we have it up there, who do you think is going to win the 2020 F1 Constructors Championship? And we've got some McLaren fans out there. Yeah, I think Red Bull's off to a pretty good start this year. What do you think? Where's McLaren going to finish? Maybe, what do you think?
It's a really interesting season, lots of rule changes. So I think fourth is looking pretty good, maybe third if we're a bit lucky. I'd love to go and win it, but I think Red Bull have got the edge this season. So.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's amazing how things change so quickly from season to season. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that initial shock of the pandemic, especially as it relates to McLaren Racing? You actually had a few races that had to be canceled. How did you and you know, the drivers adapt to that kind of sudden shock?
Yeah, it was, you know, one of those sort of weird moments in work when, you know, you get an email sent around at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon telling everyone to go home, and there wasn't an instruction of when to come back to the office. And no one was really sort of sure as to what was going to happen. I think the sort of saving grace for us was that actually we're quite lucky that for the last 40 years, we've been working on the road, right? We work from garages, we work from hotel rooms, we work from airplane lounges, we work from, you know, places like this, our engineering hub that we traveled to each race with. So in a way, the pandemic wasn't a shock as to working remotely. We've been doing that for quite some time, but it was a shock of the scale of which we had to go and work remotely. You know, we're used to taking 80 engineers to a racetrack, and that suddenly we had to have 800 members of the team, all based from their bedrooms, living rooms, and their home offices. So that was a really big change, and I think it was the scale that caught us by surprise. And you know, when we did that, we had to learn from the F1 team and really sort of understand you know, the practices they put in place. But you know, environments like that you see behind me, that's a set of 4 trucks that unfold and park on top of each other, and this becomes people's homes. So you know, we're used to working from unusual spaces.
Yeah, and I think we've got some pictures of these spaces. It's just fascinating to me how you guys build this out every time during the race. Yeah.
So this would be the engineering hub. So this is where we would, you know, when we travel throughout Europe, we take 4 trucks with us. They unfold into this configuration. And, you know, it's a pretty noisy environment. You've got some pretty noisy neighbors. Everyone's been used to that with putting themselves on mute. But above this, or below where the tires are, is where the engineers sit. So underneath us is a very warm environment. We put all the tires down there. It's where we sort of store them for the race. So they're always being sort of prepped and pressurized and warmed up. And then we move above the garage, and you can see another shot of it here. So, you know, we're working in quite a strange environment. There's 2 lorries parked either side here. In the void, we've got the tires. And in those 2 lorries on the bottom, we'll have logistics and spares. So those are things we carry to each race with us. And then we go back above. And this is our working from home or our working from the track. And so for some engineers, this will be all they see for the best part of 6 months. You know, they'll be away from the office. They don't really do the work from home. They'll be working from this sort of environment. And so we have to sort of create these office spaces and these environments where engineers you know, feel at home, but also there's design cues that link them back to the head office. When you've got people that don't meet for, you know, half a season, it's a really interesting challenge as how do you make people feel connected. And so, you know, if we push on, have a look at it, you know, you can see the other side of them here. The engineering hub, things to point out is that wall on the far side is actually a felt wall. It's made of recycled material, but it helps absorb a lot of the noise and that comes from the race circuits. But also with that, we could start to take a few design cues as well with it. It's not just engineers, the drivers have to work from track, so they'll do media engagements on WebEx, they'll do fan calls. I think Daniel might be a little bit late to his there. But you know, they're also interacting with it and having to do their work from there.
Yeah, and you've got WebEx that plays an important role in a lot of that. I heard you use the term box when you were talking the other day, and I thought I knew what it meant. Having watched some Formula One, but you've taken it to a whole different level.
Yeah, so again, this is one of our meeting rooms back at the McLaren Technology Center. It's a beautiful building, but a pretty hard one to install technology into. There's lots of glass, lots of metal. You can see on the back wall there's the same felt that helps with absorbing sound in meeting rooms, but also makes it feel and look like the engineering hub, so people can kind of interact with different rooms. One of the things that really bugs me in meeting rooms is when people don't put everything back straight.
Yeah.
When you work in Formula One, you develop this OCD concept, and so we looked at the cars in the garage, and when the cars park up in the garage, wherever they are in the world, you know, this coming weekend in Canada, there's like a marker on the floor that dictates where they should go, and the cars get parked perfectly within those markers. And so we thought we'd bring a bit of that back to the office and have a bit of fun, and so we have box, and that reminds people where they should be putting the room navigator back into its place, and if they move it, they'll see WebEx underneath it. It still bugs me when people don't put it back in place.
Yeah.
But little design cues like that sort of encourage, you know, what we've had in Formula One and how we can bring that back to the office and have a bit of fun.
So you've taken that concept of a pit stop, which those of you not familiar with Formula One, is the driver coming home to get the things replaced, and you've taken that to the conference room. So fascinating. Now, I think we had another slide up poll which was about a pit stop. So these pit stops, they seem to have gone faster and faster, and I think that's the right answer there. And I think McLaren has one of the faster pit stops this year.
Yeah, I think for the first 4 races of the year, we had 3 of the 4 fastest pit stops. It's an amazing part of the sport where when the pit crew head out onto the pit lane, their heart rate is the equivalent of doing the 200-meter sprint. So it's an enormous cardiac output for them just to go and do the tyre change. and they've got to do that 4, maybe 6 times an F1 race. And now with the guns, there's a lot of less automation. We have to physically confirm, and we've got wheel nuts on and off the car, and so yeah, they're pretty quick at the moment.
It's amazing how much these pit stops have improved. They used to be like 10+ seconds at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, but also they've got a lot safer, which is important as well. So.
Yeah. Now, thanks to Netflix, the fan base has grown, and I know you use WebEx to engage with your fan base. So tell us more about how that's changed, especially as in the early days you did not have as many people participating in the races. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first, I think Netflix is an awesome advocate for our sport. I think what they've done and what they've delivered and how they've dramatized it is incredible to watch. It's the only way that my mum truly understands what I do as my job, which is great. Thanks Netflix. But it has engaged a lot more fans, and so we really see this kind of change. And I was lucky enough to be out in Austin last year, in Miami this year, and you just see this huge change in who's coming to races. And to see it, Austin last year, there's over 400,000 people attended the race over the course of the weekend. So just a huge change and in growth in popularity, which is great. But I think also it's increased the demands on what our fans and what our partners expect. And when the pandemic really kicked off, we started to go back racing. One of the things we do is we take our guests to track. Yeah. We take you to the garage and we show you around, and we bring you into the heart of the team and we show you the behind the scenes. And we suddenly realized with COVID, with bubbles, with travel restrictions, we weren't able to take guests with us. And I had a very strange phone call, but the net result of it was we built a TV studio at the office, and never did I think if I asked Zach to sign off a business case for a TV studio and cameras and mixing desks and audio galleries, I never thought I'd get it. But we created a studio at the MTC, we converted one of our meeting rooms, and we built this studio you see here, and now we have 2 guests, 2 hosts each, pretty much every race weekend, that we then broadcast a show to. We take people live into the garage, we ask them questions interactive through Slido. All of it's hosted through WebEx events, which is a really good way for us to push out and engage with our fans. And the team internally love it as well. They get a chance to go and see what it's like to be at a racetrack. But just an awesome way. And over the course of last year, we've had fans that designed flags for Daniel Ricciardo through WebEx, and he voted on them. So yeah, it's been awesome, but just a new way to engage with fans. And I never thought we'd be doing that at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah. It just warms my heart to see the way you're using WebEx, the events, and the noise cancellation technology comes in very handy in those noisy spaces. So, yeah. And then Slido, of course. So, yeah. I think we had one more question about the fans, and this one is a tricky one. Who's your favorite F1 driver? Looks like Lewis Hamilton up there. And then Lando came in a second. Which you want to venture a choice, Lando or Daniel? For those of you not familiar with F1, there's 2 drivers per team. You want to venture who's your favorite?
I think our CEO is floating around somewhere, so I better not say who my favorite is. But yeah, they're both lovely to work with, and they push us on lots of technical answers as well. So I'll refrain from that one.
Maybe when we are not being recorded backstage, you can share who's your favorite. I won't tell anybody. So let's talk about real estate. You've got a beautiful campus out in London, and how are you approaching that going forward?
Yeah, I think our office, I think if we can have a look at it, it's an amazing, beautiful space. This is it here in Woking, just outside London. This is about 20 minutes outside Heathrow, and it's a fantastic space. It's designed by Norman Foster. It's a bit of a James Bond meets...
Looks familiar to a campus back in San Jose.
Yeah, I think Apple got a few design cues from us a few years ago. It's a beautiful building. It's got some great roots in sustainability. That lake out the front helps cool the building. But it's a complex building. Not only are we designing cars in it, we're producing, we're manufacturing. There's people that come there as part of their sort of office workload. So it's really tough to sort of build an environment that meets all of those different needs. And especially in a building this building is now 21 years old. Mm-hmm. It had a very different design ethos back in the day. The meeting rooms were designed to be inner sanctums where people met to collaborate around secret ideas. It wasn't designed to be highly collaborative and have external influences coming in. And now on any day of the week, we are collaborating in every platform possible with so many different manufacturers, so many different third parties. It really is tricky, but these meeting rooms are all glass, all metal. It's an acoustic nightmare. And we have to think about how people work as well and start to change it up. So we've made a little bit of progress on that.
Yeah. You've got a desk or a Desk Pro at home. Which is your favorite device?
Yes, I think the Desk Pro. I think if I'm at home, I normally get in a bit of a fight over who's using it that day, but that's just really simple. You know, your day comes up, you can click through what you need to do. And the environment as well, like, you know, working from home, I challenge anyone to, you know, lie convincingly that they haven't done a WebEx call from the sofa. And so, you know, when you come back to the office, we want to put sofas in the office to allow people to do the same thing. And, you know, the other thing we noticed was that as people came back to the office, there were a couple of challenges. The first was the estates and facilities team were really, really busy. And we didn't want to take up their time, you know, drilling into walls, reinforcing them, mounting screens. That just for us at the time wasn't the right thing to do. And when we can pop up devices like, you know, the Board Pro and we can, you know, drop some of the units into the rooms really quickly, that allowed us to pretty radically and pretty rapidly change the environment. And as soon as we did that, we started getting this, you know, increased unknown capability. We had more sensors in the room, we could do presence detection, we could understand this room that was suddenly full of sensors could give us a lot back more in, you know, in terms of data about our environment, and we quite like data, which is good. So really quickly we could turn around to our estates and facilities team and provide them with you know, information about room utilization, which we could never do before. And then my other favorite game was in the office. You used to, you know, watch everyone being like little meerkats, and they'd all pop up from their desks and look around the office to try and guess which room was free. And they'd walk around holding a laptop in one hand with, you know, the room booking system, and they'd be going around to see, you know, is it actually being used? Is it not? And so stuff like, you know, with DNA Spaces now, that's becoming a bit of a game changer for us. That, you know, as people are walking through the space, they can see if a room is being used, they can hold it, they can do that on their mobile, or they can go up to one of the Board Pros and take a look at it. So I think for me, you know, really importantly, when you're a really lean IT function in McLaren, there's 18 of us that run IT. And so, you know, that's quite a small team for an organization that's getting close to 1,000. But our sort of mantra and ethos is to use partners and build platforms. And once we build platforms and we work with our partners, then everyone can leverage that, you know, as they best see fit. And in this case, you know, we've seen that WebEx has become our hot desk booking platform. We've seen it become our room utilization platform. We've seen it become, you know, sometimes network analytics through things like Thousand Eyes in the back end of it. So, you know, massively important for me to kind of, you know, build out that platform and rather than just sort of consume, you know, individual product sets.
And you have to take a portion of that platform out to the race 20 times a year. So it's good to have that platform.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that, you know, we're deploying a data center right at the edge 22 times a year, and, you know, we think of that as normal, but we're shipping, you know, a huge amount of compute and networking to each racetrack, and, you know, actually there's quite a lot of complexity in doing that.
Yeah. Now, I know you were a Microsoft Teams shop, and you've switched over to WebEx, so tell us more about why you switched over and how has that gone? And by the way, you're probably still joining Microsoft Teams meetings from suppliers and partners and so on.
Yeah, I think it's rare that you go a day at work without joining multiple different platforms. I think for me, ultimately, I wanted something that was more powerful and really had collaboration at the heart and video at the heart of what it was doing. And the Microsoft experience wasn't quite there. And secondly, when it came to deploying rooms and building out that hybrid work environment, it was just, you know, there was no unification from the Microsoft stack. You could go over here and buy some hardware from this vendor, and you buy a display from over here, and you kind of bring them together, and the room management was really complex. And then, you know, they weren't able to do a lot of the smarts that, you know, Control Hub has in the background. And so for me, it became a bit of a no-brainer. It was the first business case I put forward when I joined McLaren 4 years ago, was to move everyone to WebEx. And then eventually convince them during the pandemic that it was the right thing to do. And now it just opens up so much what we were able to do. We can build macros to tell people when the rooms are overused, if they've got too many people in a room, if we wanted to do it for COVID safety. And so it's so agile and nimble that I think we've been able to convince, you know, all different stakeholders across the business that it was the right move. And just having that unification from software to hardware, you know, I love it when people walk in the rooms and it welcomes them and says, you know, hi Edward or hi Javed, and they go, oh, it's recognized me. And there's just those nice personal touches.
Okay. And then I know we are almost out of time, but any thoughts on what the future looks like? I know you're using one of our early beta products.
Yeah, we've been very lucky to have WebEx hologram in the office now for coming up to 3 months. Super, super excited. We've had digital twins of the F1 car virtually for over 30 years now. But for the first time, we're able to, you know, hold up a physical part that's been designed in CAD and been 3D printed or manufactured in carbon fiber, and hold it up in front of a hologram, and then the receiving engineer at the other end can put on a headset and see what's happening. For us, that's opening up, you know, new opportunities for design, new locations for design, Really enjoying inputting with the team. Your team are very generous with their time and help us on lots of things. But super excited to see how we can use that. And AR, VR is already part of our car design process, so hologram just feels like the next sort of evolution of that for us.
And those of you who have not seen the hologram functionality, I think we had a quick video that we'll roll before we wrap up. So I think there's a video.
There's no replacement for in-person interaction, but we can feel like we're together, interacting with the same objects while being thousands of miles apart. Introducing WebEx Hologram, the industry's first real-time holographic collaboration solution. This is a holographic meeting. It's a shared, intuitive interaction, allowing remote participants to experience the same immersive event. It's a transformative technology for designers, engineers, technicians, innovators, and more. This isn't some faraway vision for the future. It's available to a limited set of customers right now. The expectation of hybrid work has been elevated.
With some of our select customers. Thank you so much, Ed. I know we are out of time. There's so many questions that I could have asked, but I appreciate you coming out. And for the audience here, if you're interested in some of the innovations we talked about, you'll hear more about it in the iTalk tomorrow and the keynote, and obviously the World of Solutions, where you can go experience those. So thank you so much, Ed. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you guys have been enjoying the session so far and that the hosts in the US have been taking good care of you. For those of you who have forgotten or are tuning in for the first time, my name is Ella Cheng Bradshaw, and I've been one of your two hosts for the last 2 days. And with me, I also have my co-host here.
It's me, Rahul. Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3. You know what? I can't believe we're already in day 3. Only a few moments ago, it felt like we were preparing for day 1, and we're already towards the end. That makes me a little bit sad, but it's a special moment because it's finally day 3, and it's fun-filled excitement. There's a lot coming your way. What do we have in store today, Ella?
Well, Rahul, at Cisco, we like to think that innovation never stops, and neither should you. The world of technology is changing, and Cisco is helping to address the fact that platforms have become operating paradigms, meaning that for every leader reviewing their tech agenda right now, this really is a battle of relevance. And building the right mindset and capabilities is critical to innovating and adapting. It's the key to success as we move towards a secure cloud operating model in the hybrid world. And for this, we have 2 of our very own leaders in the APJC region, Raymond and Vish.
Over the past 3 days, you've heard from Hall of Fame speakers and distinguished engineers such as Hank Preston, David Zaks, Aaron Woland, Carlos Pereira, and more. In their sessions, they each focused on key innovations, technical capabilities, and use cases at Cisco and the ways that these could benefit customers across industries. They spoke about the shift from subscriptions to consumption and from architectures to outcomes. The theme that ties all of this together is the message that innovation never really stops. And this is the spirit that binds us together as we strive to enhance human connections in the hybrid world, leveraging cutting-edge technologies. Join us as Vish and Raymond wrap up Cisco Live APJC 2022. Like I said, it's day 3. And in their session, they will outline tips to help audiences get the most value from the technical sessions at the event. And they'll also highlight the topics and takeaways that will make the greatest impact that businesses will have in the many months to come.
But that's not all, is there? We also have a surprise coming up, and to wrap up the last 3 days, we have 4-time Grammy-nominated country artist and songwriter Mickey Guyton joining us at Cisco Live 2022 for an exclusive broadcast performance. So tune in for songs from her critically acclaimed debut album, Remember Her Name. And during the session, as well as throughout the rest of the day, stay connected with us through social media. So join the conversation with the hashtag Cisco Live APJC on Twitter posts, LinkedIn, Instagram, as well as by tagging or at Cisco Live on your posts on your Instagram stories and posts. We want to see how you've been experiencing and enjoying Cisco Live so far during the last few days here with us.
During the last few days here with us, we've seen many posts on Twitter, especially on Twitter, where people are hashtagging Cisco Live. We've seen that they're having a lot of fun. Let us know as well that you're having fun and that you're having a great time. These sessions and the recordings and the PDFs will all be posted in our on-demand library on ciscolive.com, so you can catch up on any sessions that you missed. The only thing that you will not be able to catch up on is our session together. Ella, people who attended day 1, 2, 3 and attended our session, they're in fact lucky because recordings for this, that isn't available. Kidding aside, I urge you to view these sessions and more in our on-demand library, accessible at ciscolive.com/on-demand. That's ciscolive.com/on-demand. The library will be live on 23rd June with additional content being made available from 30th June onwards. We have just a few seconds before we close off this session. So Ella, what has been your favorite bit from Cisco Live and the last 3 days?
Favorite bit besides roasting you, obviously, probably the opening keynote with Chuck, for sure. Just the energy and just to open up that session and that entire day, I think set the tone for the rest of the day sessions to come. So that was my favorite. What about yours? Quick 5 seconds, your answer.
Likewise, that picture, it felt more like a rock concert, and I loved seeing all the posts about it. And with that, it's time to close. See you. Goodbye.
Thank you so
Take
much
care.
for having us.
Hi, I'm Raymond Janse van Rensburg, and I lead the Systems Engineering Organization in Asia Pacific, Japan, and Greater China.
Hey, hi, I am Vish Iyer, and I lead the architecture teams and businesses for Cisco in APJC.
We hope you've enjoyed the APJC broadcast of Cisco Live Las Vegas. Over the last few days, you've experienced firsthand how Cisco can support you to meet the moment with unified experiences. Unified experiences that bridge the boundaries between the different technologies, the organizations, the teams, the people, and the things. And we do this by bridging the best security experience to your employees, customers, and business partners. Our mission is to shape the future of the internet. And we do that by inspiring new possibilities for you, helping you transform your infrastructure, helping you expand applications and analytics, helping you to address your security needs, and helping you to empower your teams. At Cisco Live, we took you on a journey to demonstrate just that. To transform your infrastructure, we showed you how you can accelerate your transitions to cloud-managed network experiences with cloud-managed Catalyst. How you can simplify network operations for applications spanning public cloud, the core data center, and remote sites with Nexus Cloud. How Cisco plus Secure Connect simplifies how your organization connect and protect users wherever work happens. And how Cisco Sd-Wan delivers better experiences through cloud and security integrations, and also by providing enhanced analytics. All of these innovations to help you transform your infrastructure.
With WebEx smart workspace experiences everywhere, we've demonstrated how you can reimagine workspaces for a future hybrid workforce. How to use Thousand Eyes integration within Control Hub to provide path visualization from an endpoint agent all the way to the network path. The benefits of advanced calling features for WebEx calling, plus the WebEx suite that value adds like Vidcast. All of this to help you power hybrid work. For the Internet of the Future, we shared how you can redefine the economics of the Internet to close and eventually eliminate the digital divide between those who have access to the Internet and those who are underserved or unconnected. The Internet of the Future vision fundamentally changes how we architect the Internet from the ground up and to provide access to anyone and everyone. The principles that will enable this future are a shift to a converged architecture, namely Cisco's routed optical networking. And for reimagining applications, we shared how you can use AppDynamics, next generation observability product, to observe cloud-native applications and correlate across domains for full-stack observability. We have also shared how Thousand Eyes WAN insights enable enterprises to gain operational efficiency and predictive assurance of the application experience by continuously analyzing performance data and applying predictive models to forecast issues and recommend actions for proactively avoiding experience degradation. We showcase the industry's first predictive network solution for optimizing digital experiences.
Some amazing innovation that we showcased over this week. And in this closing session, Vish and I will take you through some of these highlights from Cisco Live that will be available for you on demand to consume at your leisure. We will also take the time to spotlight some of our APJC speakers, some of the great talent that we've got in the region that participated in the event this week and provided some excellent sessions.
In the spirit of bridging boundaries and creating unified connections, our first highlight is around SASE and how you can transform your infrastructure to deliver more secure connectivity. In today's hyper-distributed world, there is a strong need for a flawless application experience for remote workers and offices. Even as we start going back to the office in large numbers, remote work is here to stay, and it's an undeniable reality of our future. Secure Access Service Edge, which is the convergence of networking and security architecture, is essential to enable cloud-first operation that allows IT teams to securely connect users to applications. In this session, led by Omri, Chandro, and Mohit, you will discover how Cisco is uniquely positioned to help IT teams deliver secure connectivity. This is done via cloud-enabled networking and advanced security innovations, and it will be done regardless of where users, devices, and applications are located. Find out more about how Cisco provides multiple pathways to SASE, from simple turnkey solutions to powerful and flexible options to deliver more secure experiences.
We continue with hybrid work for the second highlight, with a deeper dive into the theme and what matters as a true differentiating factor. In my conversations with business leaders, their priorities are very clear. They want flexibility for their workforces, and they want optimized workspaces so that they can deliver consistent, smarter experiences at home, in the office, and anywhere in between. They want to do more than they just navigate this evolving landscape. They want to be at the forefront of innovation and the capabilities that it can deliver. And they want world-class security underpinning it all. Tune into Thriving in the Hybrid Work World to hear from Javed Khan and Chris Story as they talk about our broad technology portfolio and the first-hand experience as a hybrid work pioneer here at Cisco. They will touch on our solutions that bring together collaboration, networking, and security. And they will show how Cisco can help you reimagine every workspace and enable any work style and meeting type. If you want to hear more about how our innovations and integrations can help you deliver a delightful experience that keeps your teams productive, engaged, and thriving, make sure to catch this session.
The third highlight is another of Chris' Story's session, and this one is based on the operating model innovation for your businesses. Today, IT leaders are living in the reality of a changing world every day. To adapt and to stay competitive, it is critical for all of us to build new ways to work and conduct businesses. Modernizing the infrastructure is an important first step, but true IT agility requires us to take on a smarter operational model. In this session, Chris will talk about how Cisco can deliver best-of-breed technologies with powerful platforms that are more automated, more intelligent, more secure, more flexible, and more sustainable. We will demonstrate how you can help your IT teams efficiently deliver the most resilient, high-performance network experience that are capable of rapidly adapting to the changing business needs of today. Raymond and I will talk about some of our very own APJC folks who will be delivering Cisco Live presentations in the last few days.
Thanks, Vish. Our first recipient of the APJC Spotlight is Chris Gascoigne. Chris is a principal architect working in the APJC Cloud Infrastructure and Software Group. Chris has been at Cisco for 15 years, and he specializes in cloud, automation, virtualization, and containers. Chris delivered 2 DevNet sessions this week, focusing on Intersight. That'll surely be interesting. Learn how to unlock the power of programmability through the Intersight API, or get even more out of it with Go, one of the 5 fastest growing languages out there. Next, I'm going to highlight the session by Vanessa Sulikowski, who is one of our go-to experts in the region for all things hybrid work. Vanessa has been working in tech for over 30 years and joined Cisco 22 years ago as a collaboration specialist. She is now a trusted advisor for the countless organizations across APJC and frequently speaks at industry events as an expert. Vanessa's session that you can view on demand is Enabling Intelligent Workplaces for Hybrid Working. She talks about the capabilities organizations will need as they settle into their hybrid work models, and she goes into detail on how to accelerate smarter workplaces, focusing on analytics, on policy, as well as architectural and platform recommendations.
Up next, we put the spotlight on Ankush Arora, a specialist who focuses on SP core technologies, SDN, NFV, IoT, edge computing, and digital transformation in our CX organization. Ankush is responsible for leading and mentoring teams of consulting engineers across our worldwide CX centers as they deploy these solutions. Ankush is the lead architect for the MPLS networks of two of the world's largest 4G LTE providers, Verizon Wireless in the USA and Reliance Jio in India. At Cisco Live, Ankush will be delivering several sessions, including one on an automation-first approach to network infrastructure, modernization for 5G and beyond. A second session is converged SDN architectures for programmable transport with an SR EVN fabric. And his third session will be an SRv6 based IP transport design. How to design, deploy best practices and challenges. Tune into his sessions to hear the latest and greatest on current and future mobile technologies and explore how service provider networks are evolving to meet the future needs of our communities. The next speaker I like to highlight is Adam Radford. Adam is a distinguished architect based out of Australia. In recent times, he's expanded his focus to enterprise networks, specifically automation, software-defined X, and programmability. Adam leads the enterprise network technology strategy for our region, and in his first session, he'll outline the 7 habits needed for a successful Cisco DNA center deployment. How do you maximize the benefit and minimize the risks when you're adopting Cisco DNAC, right from pre-work to using telemetry to identifying issues, as well as gaining insights through AI and ML. Adam also has a second session available where he talks about migrating from prime infrastructure to Cisco DNA Center, an area that has been perceived as being challenging or risky in the past. Adam will offer tips to de-risk this process through better planning and assessing readiness, as well as how do you go about automating tasks.
Next, I will share some information on Vinay Saini and his session on SD access beyond enterprise walls. Vinay is from our customer experience group with a focus on bringing digitization to customers from enterprise and industrial IoT groups. Vinay has played an integral role in the network transformation journey of customers for more than 2 decades. He was the first person in India to achieve dual expert wireless certifications and has over 3 dozen patents pending on technologies including SDN, IoT, 5G, security, as well as collaboration. At Cisco Live, Vinay will focus on the extended enterprise use case for your Cisco SD access network, like extending your network to the parking lots, the warehouses, and other non-carpeted areas by onboarding ruggedized switches. He will touch on extended and policy extended nodes, as well as daisy chains. There will be a much awaited update on automated rep rings using DNA center workflows and automation. This will be a great session to explore the newly introduced ring automation feature set using industrial Ethernet switches. So do keep an eye out for it. The next highlight speaker is Mark Krischer, the principal wireless architect for Cisco in APJC. Mark has over 25 years experience in mobility and security, and he holds 18 patents across wireless and security technologies. In his session, Mark talks about understanding wireless security and the implications for secure wireless network design. Focusing on the latest WPA3 and Wi-Fi 6 standards, Mark talks about the unique challenges to network security, such as the need for secure, fast roaming. He will also touch on how Cisco DNA Center expands wireless security standards with its capabilities. I urge you to view the session and more of these sessions on demand at your leisure after the event. These sessions will be accessible at ciscolive.com/on-demand, and the library will be live on the 23rd of June with additional content made available by the 30th. Before we go, I want to call out one other special platform that we've been working on. The Cisco Insider platform will be launched very soon, and you have an opportunity to participate in this platform by becoming a Cisco Insider Advocate. Cisco Insider Advocate is a gamified community of Cisco customers and partners coming together to network, to exchange ideas and best practices, and to access Cisco insights. You can earn rewards and elevate your professional profile through case studies, testimonials, speaking engagements, and more. Please scan the QR code to find out more about this new platform. Last but not least, I have some wonderful news to share with you. We are hoping to bring Cisco Live APJC back to Melbourne in Australia this year from the 6th to the 9th of December. That is truly exciting. Make sure that you save the date, block your calendar, and please bookmark the event website ciscolive.com/APJC. More information will be coming out pretty soon. I do hope to see you there, so please stay tuned for more updates. Thank you for tuning into the closing session, and please do visit the on-demand library for more great Cisco Live content at your convenience. Thank you and goodbye.
April 16th, 2018. This is Tokyo. This is Rakuten. These are Cisco executives invited to a meeting with Rakuten. This is Tarek Amin, CTO of Rakuten Mobile. This is Prakash Suthar, team leader from Cisco Customer Experience.
Namaskar. Good morning.
This is a story about doing something that's never been done before.
Prakash, I need someone to help me build the world's first end-to-end cloud-native network. We need a partner.
Let's do it.
In order for this to work, it has to be optimized for 5G.
We'll design it from scratch.
Fully automated.
Fully virtualized.
Cloud.
Core.
Transport.
Virtual RAN. Everything.
It will be the first of its kind.
Oh, yeah.
You can figure it out?
We can figure it out.
This is their idea. It's an ambitious idea. An unprecedented idea.
It's true.
But this is what industry executives called it.
Impossible.
Impossible. But that didn't stop them. That just made them hungry.
So Prakash, how about developers?
We'll create a platform.
Different systems.
Different partners working together. What else?
This is the plane that took the Rakuten team to San Jose.
Okay, so it takes 3 weeks to implement a traditional radio site.
With automation, we can do it in 10 minutes. And more secure.
Zero touch.
Zero defect.
Ready for 5G.
Just upgrade the software.
This is Tarek's impressed face. This went on for months.
We're gonna need new hardware.
Then we'll partner with your vendor.
But our design?
You got it.
Then Tarek said.
And we want you to manage the whole chain, oversee the integration of vendors and partners.
February 3rd, 2019. This is Rakuten and Cisco and their impossible idea making their first call.
Oh my God.
And the world just changed. Rakuten and Cisco Customer Experience. The right solutions, the right technology, most importantly, the right people. Between ideas and invention, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Hey, and welcome back from that innovation talk.